I actually wanted to open up this episode with a little explanation for Endless Endeavor listeners. So this has nothing to do with you, Jereme, but because you're here, guess what? You get to listen to this little bit, and then also, do you listen to the show yourself?
I do.
Okay, so did you listen to the episode that just came out?
With Josh Dukes?
No,
Dukes?
after that.
I have not yet.
Okay, well, you're not going to be able to because I just pulled it yesterday. And anytime I do something like that, I like to be authentic with my listeners, and I like to explain what happened and why I did that. And this isn't a dig at James, the guy that did the podcast, but he told a story, and what was brought to my attention was a story of corruption, right? And he was a police officer, and he came up and he told his story. What inevitably ended up happening was, from my perspective, was a 2-hour kind of like almost like a bitch fest. Just like a lot of, it didn't seem solution oriented. It seemed like a lot of complaining and a lot of just being stuck in what happened to him as opposed to what's going to happen next, right? And as I was sitting here, I was like, he can tell his story however he wants to, right? And so I was in a little bit of a conundrum with it because it's like, that's not really congruent with what my podcast puts out. My podcast is about growth. It's about winning. It's about, hey, fucked up shit happens, right? Like, it's time to move on. And don't get me wrong, accountability is part of that, right?
Yes.
And so that's why initially I was like, yeah, you can tell your story. But then I listened to it and it just didn't sit well with me. That's just the truth. And then I started hearing the other side of the story from other people that started working their way to me because that's what's going to happen, right? And what I realized is, man, this isn't an opportunity to tell a story of corruption. This is me finding myself right in the middle of some ongoing drama. That's not what this show's about. And so for the first time in 205 episodes, I pulled one because I don't want my platform to become a platform where people get in pissing matches. Not interested in that. That's not what we are. That's not who I am. And so I apologize for everybody involved, especially, he came up and made the trip up here. Everything that occurred shouldn't have occurred. I should have pulled the plug on it as soon as I had that intuition that this isn't really an episode that's good for this platform. But and that's the reason I'm saying it is because I need to be held accountable too. In all reality, I shouldn't have published it. I knew there was something that just felt off with it, but I went ahead and did it. And then I regretted it. And so I'm putting that out there. It happened last night. So I know the show is a week behind. Yours won't air until not tomorrow, but next Thursday. So by the time this airs, that's going to be old news. But since it was fresh with happening within the studio last night, I wanted to bring it up. So I could have done that before you showed up, but guess what? You got to hear that. So
I appreciate that.
So bro, I want to just jump right into this episode with kind of the talk we had last Thursday, right?
Yes.
The talk how long have your kids been doing jiu-jitsu with me?
They've been here since over a year now.
Over a year now.
It was a year in February.
Yeah, Bella and Diego, who I don't know if you know this or not, but Diego has a jiu-jitsu brain.
I didn't know that.
Bro, because one thing I do now that I'm stepping into more of a coaching role with the small kids, I question them day to day regarding what we went over the previous day or the previous week, because I want to know that they're paying attention and they're absorbing it and it's making sense. So instead of just moving on to the next thing, I like to revisit things and see if their brains have been able to grasp concepts. And I don't know if you heard yesterday, but he was answering all the questions perfectly.
I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah, bro. We're talking about transitions from failed arm bars. What's next? The triangle. And he raises his hand. The triangle's available. And I was like, oh, someone was listening, dude. And that may sound like not a big deal, but this is the young kid class. This is 6 to 10, right? So for their brains to be seeing those openings and then also cataloging it and remembering it and being able to answer the question correctly on the spot, I was proud of him, man.
I really appreciate hearing that, Greg. Especially for him too. He's been through phases, over the last year plus where he's like, I don't want to do this. And so okay. We talked to Jenny.
Yep.
Got some suggestions and we started taking it month by month with him.
Okay.
And gave him some incentives, right, to stick with it and just give it his all. And his attitude, like he loves it now. He loves to come. He asks to come. He wants to come more.
And you can tell while he's here, even though anytime you're on the mats there, you are going to be pushed. You're going to face adversity. It's going to be hard, but through those hardships, he's having a good time. And that's where the magic starts to happen, right?
Totally.
A lot of people in general, they quit jujitsu because it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you don't hear adults say that very often because they understand like, oh, if I verbalize that, people are going to think I'm weak or whatever. It's usually, hey, my schedule or whatever. Kids don't have that filter yet though. So a lot of times kids will be like, I don't want to train jiu-jitsu anymore because it's just too hard.
Yep.
And then that's the perfect segue to talk about, well, that's actually why we're here.
Yeah.
We were here because it's hard. We want to learn about facing hard and doing hard things on our terms so we gain the ability to be able to face hardships, because life is going to throw hardships at you that you have no say in. So let's hone our ability to face hardships in a capacity that we do have say.
Totally.
And that's where the magic happens, you know? But anyways, it was last Thursday. You were here with the kids, and I was over at the front desk, and I don't remember exactly what started the conversation, but it was somewhere along the lines of like, fuck, bro, I need to dial it back in. I need to start being disciplined. Yeah. I need to start training again. I need to clean up my diet because it's very apparent that you haven't prioritized that lately.
100%.
And I'll just let you tell that side of the story. And then obviously we're going to go back to the beginning because I want to dig into some other things too.
Yeah.
But has that been something that has been weighing on you lately, or is that always something that's been on the back of your mind?
Yeah, it's always been something that's been on the back of my mind. It's been weighing on me more and more during the, and I'm going to use air quotes, pandemic.
See, and that's why you're sitting in that chair.
Yeah.
We get along great.
Totally. Like-minded individuals. During that time, I was 260, maybe 270, got down to 240, 230. But it was just, I felt better, of course, losing that weight. But I had no accountability. I was doing it by myself, trying to figure out what to eat by myself. Not really researching online, which I should have been doing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of resources out there, right?
Well, I mean, that's a double-edged sword because there's a lot of good resources, yep. But then there's a lot of shit you can consume too.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a clear understanding of the path that you want to take,
yep.
Sometimes that's more confusing than not, know?
Yep. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And so, yeah, here we are now. Let's go back, a week ago, like you said, I'm 301. Right, gained all that weight back that I lost,
and then some. Huh?
And then some.
Is this the first time you've broke 3 bills?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, growing up, I did wrestling, football. I raced downhill skiing. Was 6th grade. I was 5'11", shaving, shaved my beard, 175 pounds. I'm never built like some of the guys out here on the mat, right? But I was in good shape. And yeah, this is the unhealthiest I've ever been.
Well, and I can tell you too, just from watching you move on the mats, yep. Right? That round that you and Brandon had
yep.
last week. And Brandon's a big dude too, right?
Yes.
That was a lot of man getting thrown around.
Yep.
But just your awareness, your movement, like regardless if you're doing well or you're losing,
yep.
I could tell as like, oh, Jereme it's inside of there.
Yeah.
And that makes sense now to hear that you wrestled growing up because you can see the grappler in there.
Yeah.
Yep. So what do you think? Well, I guess I want to talk about Thursday and then kind of dive into why you think that you've reached this point.
Yeah.
But you came up to me and you expressed those exact concerns.
Yep.
I am the heaviest I've ever been. I'm eating McDonald's almost daily.
Yep.
And here's the thing, like, that's fucking poison,
yes,
right?
100%.
But is it just because life's in a routine and it's like?
Yeah, I think life's in a routine is part of it. I think that poison, that shit, like your gut starts to crave it. 100%. Your body starts to crave it.
That's proven, bro. Which,
as I told you a couple of days ago, I think my body finished expelling, well, at least a big portion of that stuff.
Yeah.
That was a long night. And just some of the stresses, right? Bella, our daughter's type 1 diabetic.
Was she born with that?
No, she, what year are we in? 24. So December 2022, pancreas, right, stops working. We didn't know. Her pediatrician said she had the flu. She's getting sicker and sicker. Finally, one day, I'm like, fuck this. Scooped her up, drove across the trestle, 90 miles an hour.
Intuition.
Yes.
You just know.
Yep. Took her to Children's over there. Poked her finger. Her blood sugar was over 500.
Which I don't know what that means. What is it supposed to be?
So fasting in the morning, it's 70. When we eat, fruits, things we're supposed to be eating, maybe it gets up to 130, maybe 160.
Okay.
It should never be above 200. 500 is, you're in ketosis, diabetic ketosis. Sorry. So your blood is toxic.
Ketoacidosis. Is that the word?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
No, dude, bro, the reason I laugh is because when I used to get that confused too.
Yes.
And when Jenny she'd be peeing on her sticks to see if she was in ketosis.
Yes.
I was like, are you in ketoacidosis? That's not the same thing.
Yep. Yes. Thank you.
See, listeners are learning so much in today's episode.
Yep. Totally.
But that's fucking dangerous.
No. Yeah. 100%. So yeah. So, that's December. February, she starts jiu-jitsu. Girl's a savage.
Bro, great energy.
Totally.
I fucking love your kids.
And
I'm not just saying that because you're here.
Totally.
If I didn't think that, I just wouldn't say anything at all.
I'm the same. No, it comes from my wife, a huge part of it. Right. And it's amazing. Just their energy. Right. But yeah, so, it pressured me more and more, or weighed on me more and more, I should say. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up dying if I don't change. Like, I've got a wife who's like, I don't know how I got her, right? 4'11", hot little Mexican. Sorry.
No, dude, I love it, bro.
For me, I love her. She's amazing, right? And
not bro, I can tell you why you got her though, because like we don't know each other very well.
Yeah.
We've trained a few times. Yep. You did the rifle course that I helped out with last summer out on the range. But you don't have to know someone very well to feel their energy.
Yeah.
Right. And I know you're a good dude.
Yeah.
I know that about you.
Yeah.
And I can't articulate why, but you know how you can your 100%. Intuition, right? Yeah. You're a fun guy to talk to. You're a fun guy to be around. You always have good energy, regardless if we're fucking crawling through the mud on the range or we're on the mats. Yep. But you're also real about it too. Like even last year when we were out on the range doing stuff, you're like, fuck man, this shouldn't be this hard for me, but it is because I've neglected myself.
Totally.
And I was like, man, Jeremy's calling himself out. He sees the problem, but a lot of people see the problem. What's next is correcting the problem. Yes. Right. And so, fuck, that's what you came to me for.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. And back then too, right. Will was on site doing photography for the rifleman class. And Will's a great guy, right?
Will's one of my favorite human beings on earth.
He's amazing. And, he offered then, right, to help me some accountability. And I don't know why I didn't move on it. But I've gotten to the point now, especially once I went over, that 300 mark, the rifleman class, so it was probably 295. So it wasn't much difference, right?
Uh-huh.
But I was like, something's got to change. This has got to stop. Like, I hate this.
Yeah. And bro, here's the reality of it. It's like, I am of the abilities now to be able to diet and work out on my own.
Yep.
Right. And that's because, bro, it was force fed to me as a young man in the Ranger Regiment. And then just like through martial arts, I had coaches. I feel like I always had someone to lean on for both accountability, but also knowledge too. Yep. And I have to be honest with myself and remember that a lot of people that don't have that, it's easy to get lost in everything that's going on and not have clear answers on how to get out of it. Totally. And that's why for you to come up to me and you just looked me right in the eye and you said, bro, I'm 300 pounds and this isn't sustainable. I need to change. Yeah. And I looked right back at you and I said, bro, if you don't change, you're dead. Yep. And it's like, again, that is not, let's say something mean that's going to make Jereme feel bad, right? Yep. Bro, if you want to get on this team and you want to hop on board and you want to get in the lifestyle of taking care of yourself and becoming better and like always pushing the next thing, the first step of that is just accountability.
Totally.
And accountability comes out in the form of just authenticity and truth. And the truth doesn't care if it hurts your feelings or not.
Yep.
The truth is the truth, and it doesn't matter if it hurts your feelings.
Yep.
Right. And that's why that fucking, what we opened up the show with hurts me a little bit, because I knew the truth.
Yep.
I felt the truth, but I didn't operate under the truth. I said, I'm going to let this one slide. You can't, if you let the truth slide, it never gets better, it gets worse.
Yep.
Right.
Totally.
And so that's why I said, bro, like, here's the deal. I have a group of guys who, and you reached out to me the same week that I started 10 weeks of steak and apples.
Yep.
This time it's meat and fruit, right? So I've brought into my horizons a little bit, but I like to go into the summer with a hard challenge. And through the Forge Ferocity program, we got, 6 guys or something doing the meat and fruit diet until July 20th.
Yep.
So it's a 10-week thing. I said, bro, don't wait until June 1st. Especially don't wait till the new year, right? Because everybody wants to put off change. I said, change tomorrow.
Yeah.
And hop on our fucking thread and be part of the accountability. And you did. And you have been. And bro, I'm proud of you. It's like, it's only been a week, but what are you down already?
291.
Okay, dude, 9 pounds in a week, right?
And I have energy I'm sleeping great. I'm getting up at 5:30 in the morning instead of 10:30 in the morning.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. I'm, rolled, jiu-jitsu 101 upstairs and then rolled for 30-ish minutes downstairs.
Yeah.
Had to take several breaks in the middle of the 6-minute rounds.
Good, bro. Take your breaks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's
great,
no expectation other than showing up and putting the work in.
Yeah.
And that's going to look very different for someone that's brand new to the journey versus someone that's been on it for 20 years, right? But I see you here. I see you putting in the work. And it's like, if you just took your last 7 days of eating, sleeping, and training habits, and you recreated that for 12 weeks, bro, you're going to be a different human being.
Yeah. So I believe it and I agree.
And like, I had Stephen Hand on when he made his big transformation afterwards to talk about like where he came from where he went. But because I believe in you, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the before and after thing with Jereme, and we're going to jump right into a before episode.
Yep.
Because I know you're going to succeed because you've aligned yourself with the right people. You've motivated yourself, and you're also being honest with yourself, one thing that you said, I forget exactly how you articulated it, but basically your guts are used to a certain diet. And for you, it's fucking McDonald's, right?
Yeah. Greg, it's not just McDonald's. I'd go to McDonald's and get 2 large fries at a time, 2 burgers at a time, and a big ass Coke too.
Bro, it's a straight addiction.
Yeah.
It's a straight addiction, dude. And you've recognized it. And like, you went cold turkey on that, right? And that's fucking hard, man. But what I was going to say about the gut microbiome is you're exactly right. What they're finding about the gut microbiome is that it starts to form as a reaction of whatever you feed it, right? And then your gut microbiome starts to crave certain foods because that's what's fueling it. So if your gut microbiome has grown and started to get used to McDonald's, and then you say, hey, motherfucker, you're eating apples and meat, it's actually sending signals to your brain like, no, give us what we want.
Yeah.
And it's not apples and fruit, or it's not fruit and meat, right?
Yep.
What was that first week like? Was it really tough for you, or?
You know what? I got to be honest, it wasn't that tough.
Okay. I like hearing that. That's better than it was miserable, right?
I think there's several parts of that. Biggest part is the accountability. You said it in the group, right? In the Forge Ferocity group in our chat, right? That you don't want to cheat, like have something you're not supposed to, and then have to tell the guys.
Oh, bro, 100%.
Yeah, because we're going to be honest, but I don't want to have to do it.
That's the thing. Once you have integrity, accountability is a great tool.
Yeah.
If you don't have integrity, accountability don't mean shit.
Yeah.
But we know, like, we have aligned ourselves with a group of people. if you fuck up, you better own it.
Totally.
Right.
Yep.
And bro, I had our anniversary dinner on last Friday or whatever it was. And Jenny and I were out, and the restaurant just knew it was our anniversary. So they brought us a dessert on the house. And I'm like, I can't have that. And Jenny goes, do you even want to try one bite of it? I said, oh, I certainly want to try one bite of it. But if I do, then I have to text the group thread that I slipped up and I made a mistake. And I said, I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. Like, I am trying to, like Forge Ferocity, I look at that as like, I'm both part of it, but I also hold a leadership role too. And if I can't stay disciplined on the challenges that I'm recommending people do, what fucking business do I have to be doing any of this stuff?
Yep.
And so like, that's a good tool for myself as well. I say, I can't do it.
Yep.
And, bro, it's real. And it's hard to it's hard to have that kind of discipline when it's only yourself that you're accountable to.
Yeah.
Especially on days that maybe you're mad at yourself. Maybe you feel like a piece of shit and you're like, fuck everything. Right.
Totally.
On those days, it's easy to slip up unless you got homies to your left and your right.
Yep.
And you've only been with Forge Ferocity for a week now. You already feel it.
Yeah.
They're cool guys, man.
Cool guys that care about each other, want to support each other, open and honest.
Yeah.
Totally different walks of life too. In different stages in their, if we're talking about just the health side too, totally different stages of health too.
Yeah.
We see guys who are shredded like you, right? And then, a couple of guys that, are farther in their journey than I am, but have been there.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
And so the reason I like this story and I wanted to sit down and actually spend some time digging into this is because a lot of people don't have that community to lean on.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle, and a lot of people, as they're listening to this right now, are going to be like, fuck, man, I'm right where Jeremy's at. I ate McDonald's yesterday and I knew that I shouldn't have, And so I think having an honest conversation around where a lot of people are at is actually going to be empowering.
Totally.
Yep. How long do you think the process was from when like you're an athlete, you feel like, you're doing your thing, you're young, to where you look down one day and you're 300 pounds? Was it something that kind of snuck up on you feel like?
No, a big part of it was the last, I shared my background with you, right?
Oh, we're going deep into that too.
And
bro.
so part of that was, a big part of that was the last couple of months in that time. Anxious and unknown about what things were going to look like ahead. And so just starting to eat extra even when I was there. Right.
Oh, okay.
And then I get out and, moving with my aunt who's cooking me fried chicken every night, trying to spoil me. Right. Hadn't seen me in a while, cooking me fried chicken all the time, got a little heavier. And then I got married and I couldn't eat it all because I was hella stressed. I don't know what to do as a husband. Dropped down to 165 pounds.
Dude, so you've been 165 as an adult.
As an adult.
Okay.
Which is probably really hard on my body. These ups and downs, right? Probably need some consistency.
I don't know, bro. I being a yo-yo is probably better than just hovering at 300. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And then but right, the last probably six-ish years now, it's just been up and up the whole time.
Okay.
Slowly. And I've told myself, right, it's like, I'll never let myself get above 190. Never let myself get above 210. Never let myself get above this, and just didn't stop. And it wouldn't stop if we hadn't talked and you hadn't been honest about, you said start tomorrow.
I said, yeah, you have to start tomorrow.
You have to start tomorrow.
And bro, and you did, dude.
Yeah.
Well, dude, that makes me happy that you wouldn't have come up to me and started inquiring if you weren't ready to receive that message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. There are parents that sit on that bench that don't even say a word to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I can tell some of them are struggling, Yeah. And it's funny because there's a part of me that's like, man, go dig in a little bit.
Yeah.
See what's up. You know what I mean? But I also don't want to be the guy that's like, hey, just because I like being in shape and I like being in a body that works and I like exercising discipline in my meals, like if you don't give a fuck about that and you're like, hey, you know what? I prioritize food over my health, and that's my choice. Roger that.
Yeah.
I'm not anyone to say anything otherwise than that. So I feel like you kind of have to want it first.
Totally.
Before, I mean, you hear it with drug addicts all the time, right? Like
Yep.
you can't help someone until they're ready to help themselves.
Yep.
But food addiction is more powerful than drug addiction.
Yeah.
And the reason that I say that is because it doesn't matter if it's fucking heroin or nicotine or fucking caffeine is a big one for me, which I'm about to drink 300 milligrams in this First Form energy drink. But if you want to quit any type of drug addiction, you can go cold turkey.
Yep.
Now you're going to feel a detox or whatever it is, right? But there is no cold turkey approach to food. I really have to manage my food differently.
Yeah.
And that's hard when you're talking about, like, imagine telling heroin addicts like, hey, we're going to and they do this, right?
Yep.
At the methadone clinics where they give them a little less and a little less. And they try and get their body used to a lesser dose and wean them off, right? But you're doing all this on your own now. And you didn't get the weaning off. You just went cold turkey. And but you still have to wake up and make a food choice every day.
Yeah.
And therein lies the problem.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And that's, maybe there's an aspect that's on my own, but there's a huge part that's not. I mean, to finish answering your questions, the things that have made this week not hard. One was the accountability. Two is my wife, right?
Yeah.
Who is encouraging, who, told me, he's like, because I was, the first couple of days, I wasn't doing any seasoning on the steaks. I was like, fuck, I don't think I'm supposed to do anything. I didn't ask at first. And she's like, honey, I think you can do put at least some salt and pepper on there. And so I asked, and that helps.
But bro, I love that you assume the strictest guidelines.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to cheat here or there.
Yep.
You're like, hey bro, can I salt the steaks? I was like, fuck man, like that's my bad.
Yep.
Please salt your steaks.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Yeah, because I know myself, right? And that was me as a young teenager and young man put me on the path that it did when I was younger, and the weight too. You let little bits slide, and it will just continue. And so with myself, I have to be super strict. I have to be careful not to push that on my kids 100%, right?
I go back and forth on that.
I know.
It's like, hey, let them be kids, right?
Yep.
But also they need to know the path too.
Yes.
And I struggle with that because I don't want to be that dad that's a tyrant. But if my kids leave my house at 20 years old or whatever and don't have an understanding of any of this, we kind of did them a disservice, right?
Yep.
So I'm excited. Your kids are going to watch your journey.
Yeah.
They're going to have a front row seat to it.
Yep.
And it's going to be cool, man.
Yep.
Have you talked to them about it at all?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm very honest. Lorena has asked me for a long time, like, hey, don't call yourself fat in front of the kids. I'm like, honey, I'm fucking fat.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I'm like, guys, I'm fat. This ain't good.
Yeah.
And, Lorena cooks healthy, super healthy. Like, it wasn't anything I was getting at home. It was everything I was consuming outside of the house, or snacks I would buy for myself, right? And hide in like the pantry. We talked about that too, actually.
Yeah.
Right? I'd go buy a dozen donuts, bring it home. My daughter's a type 1 diabetic who loves carbs. She shouldn't eat that shit.
No, of course
not. I don't want her to become a type 2 diabetic, right? On top of that, and have her body start to resist the insulin. Went down a rabbit hole there.
No, you're just saying like you would bring home foods that you knew were bad for you.
Yeah. So no, I'm totally honest with the kids though, right? About where I was and what I'm doing now and what I want to do. When I was on, what call was it? It's probably Monday. It's probably this Monday on the holiday, Memorial Day. Diego's not at school, right? And so he's cracking the door open to listen to what's going on. And yeah, they're excited. They see it, and yeah, I think they're excited to watch me roll too.
Yeah.
And to get in that area, because we go and train rifle sometimes and pistol with them. And when I'm huffing around, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
They're like, Dad, what the fuck?
Yeah. What the fuck, Dad?
Yeah.
And bro, that goes, and I can't imagine how that makes you feel either.
Yep.
Because it's like, as a father,
Yeah.
you're wired the same as me. Like,
Totally.
your kids are everything. You're their protector,
Yep.
right? But now you're out huffing and puffing,
Yeah.
and they're not.
Yep.
you know?
Totally. No, and yeah, totally agree. Right. And especially I think it's something, we're similar, right? And a lot of the guys here, if there's a situation, right, in the world going on where somebody's in need, like I'll step in. I don't care what it is. And, whether it's, calls for violence or whatever. But if I'm being honest, especially after rolling the other day with like Potts and then Brandon, I mean, maybe I could step in and help someone for 5-10 seconds. And then I'm like, hold on, time out.
Yeah.
Gotta lay down.
Like what a gift that was though, right?
Yeah.
Because dude, people all the time overestimate their capabilities.
Yep.
And you see all the memes that it's like, I just see red and bodies start hitting the floor or whatever it is, right? But what I tell people is one of the biggest aspects of how health and fitness is going to save you in a high stress encounter or a violent encounter is not that you can sustain a high level of output for 6 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, that's a good thing to be able to do. But more importantly is when you get hit with those stress hormones and that fight or flight kicks in, that adrenaline kicks in, people's bodies that aren't used to that, man, they become combat ineffective very fast.
I bet.
The heart rate spikes and they get tunnel vision. They get that fucking dry mouth and their legs start fucking seizing up. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, I bet.
Whereas the training that we do, you're conditioned to a high stress environment.
Yeah.
And regardless of your fitness, just being conditioned and used to that, hey, if something goes down, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I can now deal with this with a clear mind, with a calm mind, instead of just going fucking code black.
Yep. Totally.
You did jiu-jitsu with us for a while. What, was it a year ago?
Yeah, it was before the Rifleman last August.
Okay.
Just a couple of classes.
Is there a reason that you didn't stick with it at the time, or is it?
Yeah, I think the only reason I didn't stick with it at the time, just before the Rifleman, was on vacation with the family, stepped out of the truck, right? 300 pounds coming down on my ankle on a big bubble, like blacktop, and rolled my ankle over pretty bad.
Okay.
And so instead of seeking advice, I was like, oh, I'm just going to, take some rest.
Take some rest, heal up.
Take some rest, eat some McDonald's.
What? And bro, one of the pieces of advice I gave you, I said, even on days you don't want to train, come to the gym.
Yep.
Just show up, be present. And that might mean just getting in the ice tub for 5 minutes or getting a sauna in or grabbing some of the rubber bands and just stretching out or whatever it is. Yep. But make your routine around the gym something that's habitual.
Totally.
Right? And because it doesn't matter how disciplined you are, the more time you spend away from the gym, the harder it is to build that back in your routine.
Yep.
And sure as shit, the days that you haven't been training, you've been here sauning. Yeah. In the sauna alone is a huge tool for fitness.
And I didn't know that until, Chris, I can't remember Chris's last name. Yeah. Chris is awesome, right? He's been super, texting me yesterday. Hey, how's it going? What's going on? But yeah, just sitting in the sauna with him. I probably just sat in there by myself alone, maybe 5 minutes, because I'm in there with another dude. I'm like, fuck. So we sat. I mean, it was probably just double that. It was probably like 10 minutes, maybe 15. But it was amazing how I felt afterwards. I was drained, like I just worked out.
So, bro, the sauna. And you see how we run that sauna.
Yes.
It's a fucking medieval torture
220
device, right?
degrees.
Yeah. The hotter the sauna is, and I'm sure there's a point of diminishing return, so please don't send me a bunch of links to Huberman Lab and Rhonda Patrick, because I'm the first to say there's an aspect of mental toughness that I like with that sauna too, regardless of what's going on with your physiology, right? But bro, wear a heart rate monitor in there.
Okay.
You'll be at 150 beats, 160 beats a minute. Your body is getting a cardiovascular workout.
I didn't know that.
And that's why if I'm injured and I can't do cardio, then the sauna is even more important because it just works. It tasks your cardiovascular system. Yeah. And like you said, you get out and you feel good.
Yeah, totally.
Have you gotten in the water yet?
I've not gone in the water yet.
All right.
I will probably do it. I will do it sometime this week.
Okay.
Probably Friday.
Putting it out there to the universe. Yep. Now it has to happen.
Now it has to happen.
But the same thing with the water. You can get on the internet and you can find a million things that people claim as a health benefit from cold water, right? Yeah. But then there's also people that are like, oh, it stifles the inflammation response and inflammation is actually good for you to a certain degree. And just like everything in life, there's two sides of the fence on this, right? But for me, the cold water is a mental toughness tool, because I don't care how many times you get in there, you don't want to get back into that thing.
Yeah.
It's just hard wire. 40-degree water is not comfortable to get in. So let's just make it part of our routine to get in it. That's the whole reason I bought that thing and put it at the gym.
Yep.
You know? And dude, you do these things for, I mean, you're a week in, you do these things for a month, and now it becomes your new life, dude.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
No, and you know, like I'm trying to think of this place as my second home. Right. And like spending that time, even days where maybe I can come to open mat, right? Hit the sauna, hit the cold plunge, but I, have an appointment or I've got to get back to work, the house to work or whatever. Like just spending that time there and making the routine, like you said, I'm excited to see even just a month out. I mean, yeah.
And bro, just like, as long as you're stacking wins,
yes,
you're going to be winning, right?
Totally.
More wins than losses is going to put you on the trajectory that you want to be on.
Yeah.
Now that trajectory can fucking change very dramatically based on how much work you're putting in and what you're prioritizing. Yeah. But as long as you are winning more often than not, your life is going to change for the better, right?
Yeah.
The one caveat I always say when I bring that up is diet doesn't necessarily fall under that program though, right? Because if you make, in the course of a week, let's just say you ate 3 times a day, that's 21 meals, right?
Yep.
So if you ate 10 horrible meals, but 11 good meals, technically that's more wins than losses, right? But just as an overall approach, that's not sustainable.
Yeah, totally.
Because you can't outwork a bad diet.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you have to understand is like, if you start to choose to eat bad choices again, it doesn't matter how much time you spend on the mats, how much time you spend on the Stairmaster, how much time you spend in the sauna. Like, you can go murder yourself on the stair climber upstairs, and I'm going to fuck this up because I can't think of an exact example off the top of my head, but you can work your ass off for, say, 40 minutes, and it might only be like 250 calories or something. You're like, oh, that's one of those protein bars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, that lets you know, like, I can't outwork a bad diet. Totally. Like those boxes of fucking donuts, you'd have to be on the stair climber for fucking probably like 4 hours straight just to break even.
Yeah, just to break even.
And
not the other food that I'm eating that day.
Yeah.
The McDonald's too.
So because you said you have accountability, are you not missing it that much? Or you're just dialed in on it, you feel like?
No, I don't think I'm missing it. I don't think I'm missing it, and having the, steaks at home in the fridge, ready to get cooked, apples on the counter, ready to eat, fruit in the fridge, ready to eat. I think that's, for me, the planning makes a huge difference. But yeah, right now I'm not craving it. I mean, I'm taking it day by day too on how I feel. Doesn't mean I'm going back, but, so, tomorrow maybe I'll crave it. I hope not.
Yeah.
But so far I'm not, which is, praise God.
Well, bro, and that's one thing that I found why I've landed on this specific diet is because when I'm on this diet, I don't really have cravings for anything.
Yeah.
It's like if I feel like I need some food, I'll eat some meat. And if I'm not quite content after that, then I'll eat some fruit.
Yeah.
And then I'm good after that.
Yep.
And it's almost to a detriment sometimes because it'll be like I ate a ribeye and some strawberries right before we started recording. I might not eat until this evening after practice.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like I lose too much weight on this diet because I don't really think about like, oh, fuck, dude, I better put some protein in my body.
Yeah.
Whereas like other diets that I've done and had really good success with is like a bodybuilder's approach.
Yep.
Where it's like, hey, every 3 hours you need to have this many grams of protein, this many grams of carbohydrates, and this many grams of fat. Mm-hmm. And if you are off at all, it like kind of throws the diet through, like it fucks your diet up.
I bet.
You're supposed to really manage the windows in which you're supposed to be eating very precisely. Yep. But what I've noticed is that like you miss a window, you start getting hungry as fuck, dude. Because your body's used to eating every 2 hours or whatever's prescribed, right? Yep. Now they'll say that's by design. They're ramping your metabolism up. in keeping you burning more calories throughout the day, right? So there's science behind all of it. And again, if you're someone that can weigh every fucking bite of food and you can pre-plan out for the week, like I've done that. I've had success with that. I know that works. But for me, that's tough as an overall lifestyle.
Totally.
Like I can get down with that for like, hey, for the next 8 weeks, we're going to measure every single bite of food. Then it's more like a challenge, right? Yeah. But to just say, hey, moving forward in life, this is what I'm doing indefinitely. I know that I'm kind of setting myself up for failure. Whereas this diet is like, hey, every single bite of food that I consume is good for me.
Yeah.
It's nutritionally dense.
Yep.
It's very clean, wholesome, natural ingredients. And I'll eat when I'm hungry and I won't eat when I'm full. And bro, it works too.
Yeah. Yep.
And for me personally, I have more longevity with that.
Yeah. It makes sense. My wife asked me this morning, right? I have an appointment in Bothell later today, right? And she asked me, are you going to pack lunch and take it with you? I was like, I don't think I'm going to be hungry. I had a big, beautiful Wagyu this morning.
Oh, fuck yeah.
With an apple and two sunny side eggs. And yeah, the first couple days, I think I was eating 2 or 3 steaks a day. And cause I was feeling it, right? I was, there were some changes. But now, I'm not as hungry either.
Well, bro,
eating good food, right?
And that's the thing. Even if you are overeating on meat and apples, like, don't get me wrong. There's still the math formula of calories in versus calories out. Yep. That can't just not be accounted for, right? Like Sean Baker says, if I want to put on weight, I eat more steak. If I want to lose weight, I eat less steak, right? Yep. Just keeping it very fucking simple for those carnivore people. But for me, like, I know that if I don't eat enough, I'm going to start losing weight. And so it's like, I kind of have to manage that because I'm not looking to lose weight. I don't want to be a lighter human being. I wish that I could be like 200 shredded, but once I get lean, I usually drop into the like low 190s.
Yep. And
that's okay. That's just my body. Right. And, but I think that you have to learn that about yourself, but you have to understand that like, hey, if I'm feeling really hungry and I want to just be a gluttonous fucking pig today, I'm going to eat 3 apples.
Yep.
Bro, that's winning.
Yeah.
Compared to 2 large fries and a Coke.
Yeah. And 2 burgers.
And what burger specifically? Quarter pounders?
Yeah. No, I would get 2 double quarter pound. Sorry. I'd get 1 double quarter pounder and, like most recently they have some Cajun chicken, chicken in air quotes, burger too. And it's, probably what? 3,000 calories or more?
I don't, bro, probably.
Horrible.
That's more than your whole day's worth of calories.
Yeah.
Just boom. Yeah. And then also just mainlining all that fucking soda. You want to talk about fucking blood sugar spikes.
Glucose,
dude.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And we have a cool electronic monitor where we can monitor our daughter's glucose updates every 5 minutes, right? And so I know how food affects you.
Do you monitor your own then, just because of all the stuff you have through Bella's?
I poke my finger sometimes, right? Because we have a lot of, finger poking and sample strips at home. So I'll poke myself sometimes. And what's amazing is I never checked it after McDonald's specifically, but after other, high carbohydrate, high sugar meals, it wasn't crazy. I don't know how.
Well, maybe your body is just currently able to buffer it, but you also know that that's a fucking ticking time bomb.
Yeah. And when it stops, right? It's ticking time bomb to type 2 diabetes. And that was my, again, air quotes joke, right? With Bella and with the family and friends is like, I don't know how she got type 1 and I didn't get type 2, right? Like she should have been fine. And I should have had type 2 diabetes a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, it's cool to hear your wife's on board too.
Oh yeah.
Right. Because dude, sometimes the people that are closest to you that should be in your corner the strongest are kind of the biggest naysayers.
Yeah.
There's plenty of wives that if they went home and be like, hey, I talked to Greg and starting tomorrow I'm eating steak and apples, they'd be like, what are you doing?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
And it's like, no, what's ridiculous is eating 2 hamburgers and 2 large fries and a large fucking supersized Coke. That's what's ridiculous.
Yep.
But because it's normal in our society, well, let me ask you, how many times did you have people say, bro, what are you fucking doing eating that much McDonald's?
What's interesting is I've got, good friends, right, that do care about me. But really there's only maybe 3 people, including my wife, right? Probably actually my wife, my mom, and then
wife and mom don't count.
I know, right?
Right?
Like one buddy, right?
One buddy.
Like,
and bro, and that's not making your other buddies out to be bad people.
Totally.
But what it is it's just normalizing
yes.
that we have normalized getting ourselves sick in this society.
Yep.
And we've normalized it so much that when you try and break that cycle, and the funny thing is people, when they show, like, I don't want to say disappointment, because I don't think anyone's going to show you disappointment, but they can almost write it off as like, what are you doing? That's silly, right?
Yep.
I think people do that because they don't understand what's happening. And if you live in a world where your friend eating a Big Mac is normal, but him eating a steak and apple seems strange, man, you got to fucking revisit some of your ideas and look deeper into that, you know?
Yep.
Stephen Hand talked about that a lot because he's still active duty Navy.
Yep.
And part of the military culture, a lot of those guys are just busting each other's balls or whatever, right? So when he shows up with a Tupperware with just diced steak and everybody else is eating pizza, you know, the comments start flowing. And it's like, bro, what are you doing? You're not going to have a piece of pizza?
Yep.
And it's like, no, I'm not. And there's nothing weird about this.
Yeah.
You're just inferring this is weird because we've normalized poisoning yourself. And bro, I mean, fuck, dude, you walk around, I've said this on the show a lot. You walk around electric jiu-jitsu, that's not a very accurate sample of society. And I start to think, just because this is who 90% of my interactions are with people inside of these walls. And then I go to Walmart and I see, I'm like, oh man, almost everyone is sick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And it's fucking sad, dude. And
it's not going to get better. I don't think it's going to change. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that something happens. There will be a small percentage, I think, that it does get better for. But I think overall our society's fucked.
I think so too, man.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a dark thing to say.
Yeah.
But just look at the trajectory.
Yep.
Look at the measurable data.
Yes.
Look at the obesity rates starting in the 70s all the way to currently. It's been fucking just skyrocketing, you know? And what's going to change? How do we change that as a whole? You know, I think about this shit and I'm like, you know, where I've kind of landed on is it's not my job to change the world.
Yeah.
And if you try and change the world, you're probably going to fail.
Yep.
How you change the world is by changing one life at a time. And now through the gym, through the podcast, and like most recently through Forge Ferocity, if I can put myself into a position to just help influence a small group of people, but have real, authentic influence that helps them get their life on the right path, I have no doubt that a year from now, when you're in the best shape of your life and you're like, fuck yes, I did it, and we're going to be laughing about this, right? That you're going to have a buddy that comes to you and says, bro, Jereme, how the fuck did you do that?
Totally.
You're like, well, let me tell you.
Yep.
And it's the ripple effect, right? And I think that's kind of where I've landed on. I think that's probably our best way. It's Andy Frisella 101. Every time I say this, I get mad that he came up with it and not me, but personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion.
Yeah.
And if we can first have the discipline to become that person ourselves, because if you don't have the discipline to be that person yourself, then your message is kind of bullshit, right? Totally. You don't have the validity to be able to push that to other people. But once you walk the walk, now we can talk the talk.
Yep.
And that's when other people will come to you and be like, bro, help me.
Yep.
And it's powerful and it's real, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And I love that too.
I just don't think a lot of people are, again, to circle back to what we said, like, you can't help someone until they're willing to help themselves.
Yes.
Bro, you see people that are like, they look like they're out of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You can tell their body just almost wants to die.
Yeah. How does Andy say it? Fat, dumb, and stupid.
Fat, sick. Fat,
sick, and stupid, right?
But yeah.
It like for me, I've seen a major decline over, the last several years, slowing down at work. My clarity is gone. It's crazy because this food is poisoning us. The obesity is poisoning us.
Oh, bro, I love that you said that. So have you noticed, again, you've only cleaned your shit up for a week.
Yep.
Outside of the physical feelings, are you feeling any different emotionally or mentally?
Yes, but I'm feeling some up and downs currently too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like I can sit at my desk, stand in my desk up more too. God, it should use it.
Oh, you got the standing desk?
Yeah.
Bro, that's a game changer.
Yeah. We weren't built just to sit, right?
Oh, fuck no, man.
Yeah. And so, I'm, I feel more mental clarity. I feel calmer too. I'm definitely, channel some of that. Is it Crazy Anderson where somebody flips me off, and if I haven't done anything, I'm going to stop the car and get out.
Yeah.
But I don't even just like, I'm less pissed off now. Right.
Okay.
Like I'm just feel calmer. I feel good. It's wild.
Dude, I love that, man. Yeah. And again, I don't want you to be like, oh yeah, I started your diet and everything's great. But if you've been a grumpy son of a bitch and you've been pissed off at the world because of the diet, be honest. Yep. You know what I mean?
The middle of the nights are weird. Like, like I said, I told you and a couple of the other guys, had one or two nights where, I was praying to the porcelain god out of both ends all night long, 4 a.m, right? And I've had a couple of nights where I wake up and I just feel a little off. Like it's probably, less caloric intake, right?
Yeah.
But my body's adjusting. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't mind.
Well, and bro, one of the most powerful benefits of both fasting and then also this diet too, right? Is that depending on, like we just got done saying, a lot of times you don't really feel hunger, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes when I do feel hunger, it's like, well, I'm not somewhere where eating is convenient right now.
Yep.
I didn't bring hard-boiled eggs with me, or I didn't bring an apple. So now I have a couple options. I can wait till I get home, or I have to make a stop at the store. But it's it's nothing is convenient. And so you have to either pre-plan or there's times where you're going to have to go without.
Yeah.
And what I found last time I was on this might sound weird for people that have never done this, but the hunger that I would feel at certain times, I started to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it may almost like, you can almost feel it like strengthening your discipline muscle.
Yep.
Have you ever done any substantial fasts?
No. Most I've done right is, 18 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing. So bro, you do some like 3, I did a 10-day one time. I don't think the 10-day counts as a full fast because I did drink, some protein.
Okay.
I didn't eat anything, but I did drink some protein. Yep. And so that's not technically a fast because I am getting some macronutrients. But I did do a 3-day water only fast. And it's when you say I'm not going to eat for 3 days, man, a lot of people they think that sounds fucking insane, right? But we can go 3 weeks without food.
Totally.
And be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And take it a step further, not only be fine, but be better.
Yeah. Because
when you're in that fasted state, a lot of good shit starts going on in your body.
It starts repairing itself.
Yeah,
right?
It's called autophagy. It starts to eat. Your body now starts to cannibalize itself, but it's smart. So your body cannibalizes all of your defective cells.
That's cool.
And so it's like people talk about like their vision impairing and like their mental clarity increasing, like all kinds of stuff can happen from fasting. And again, it comes down to discipline.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, fuck, bro, that's one of the reasons why I feel like I need to do Naked and Afraid at some point. Because it's just 3 weeks of you either eat nothing or you get a fucking trout or whatever, you know?
Naked and Not Afraid, though, to be clear.
Yeah.
I remember you said that.
Yeah. Bro, did I tell you that, like, I've asked to be on that show probably 5 fucking times. Never heard back. And then I've done 2 episodes with people that have done Naked and Afraid.
Yep.
Stacy and EJ.
Okay.
So for people that are into Naked and Afraid, those are the 2 people that have done my show. And now through those different connections, I got the email. They're like, hey, let us know when you want to do it. It's like, fuck, dude.
You going to fit it in the schedule?
Well, here's the thing. I've been very open about this year just feeling tumultuous. This year feeling like something's off. Yeah. And so I don't want to leave my family for a month in an election year. After the new year, if we'll see who's president, we'll see what the political landscape feels like, and then I will entertain that. I think I just don't want to commit to something right now.
Yep.
What I don't want to be is out in the middle of some fucking jungle in Nicaragua concerned about the political climate that my family's dealing with back home.
Yes.
And maybe I'm a fucking weirdo. but something feels off this year.
No, that's a leadership decision.
Yeah.
That as a husband and a father and a man, you have to make, and that's a good decision, I think.
And there was a part of me too that I've talked about on the show. I was going to do a travel ban this summer, meaning I don't want to be away from my wife and family for extended periods of time, just because something feels off.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know exactly how strict I'm going to abide by that though, just because I've kind of come to the conclusion, like, well, if they're with me and shit hits the fan, it might not be optimal, but I also don't want to stop living.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's easy to get wrapped up in things. I don't care how disciplined you are or how logical your brain is. It's easy to get wrapped up into these things, and I don't want the potential for something to happen to prevent me from living life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And so we're going to Maui as a family.
Nice.
And it's going to be the end of August is what we're shooting for. But then there's also a voice in the back of my head that's like, hey, if shit goes south when you're in Hawaii, you're set, bro.
Are you guys going to be with the Dukes?
Of course.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm bringing my bow. Like, dude, let's go.
That would be the place to be safe,
like,
too.
bro, the fucking grid goes down and America falls apart and I'm stuck in the fucking rainforests of Hawaii for a couple of years, eating as much food as I can.
Yeah.
Like,
how many Axiom deer did you say are over there? And
there's 100,000 on the island of Maui.
You'd be fine.
Yeah, dude. And they're, we hunted for 3 days and ended up with 4. And that's bow hunting.
So different than here, right?
That's bow hunting, bro. Like with a rifle, we could have got 100.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
That's cool.
And bro, they'll let you take 100 too.
That's crazy.
That's what's
no limit.
No limit.
That's amazing.
No season, no limit, because they are just completely out of control.
Yep.
And Joshua was telling me a lot of people on the island don't take advantage of the opportunity to hunt there.
I wonder why.
I don't know, man. I feel like maybe just a lot of people are kind of out of touch with hunting and just learning how to provide for your family.
Yeah.
But bro, we did some calculations. We got $5,000 worth of steaks in the freezer. $5,000 worth of meat.
And that meat looks amazing.
It is amazing.
Were you saying that their diet is pretty different than the deer over here too?
Yeah, no, they eat like a lot of, Joshua talked about it, so I might butcher this. Okay. But the plants that they eat in Hawaii are a lot of like tropical plants and fruits and coffee and like things that's like what you would almost, if you were going to like cage an animal and feed it specific foods to make its meat have flavor.
Yep.
That's what they're eating there.
That's amazing.
No, we'll do another team barbecue. We did one a couple weeks ago. Jordan cooked up a venison shoulder.
Nice.
And bro, everybody was like, I can't believe this is venison.
That's cool.
The best fucking meat I've ever had.
And Jordan loves an excuse to cook anyways, right?
Of course he does, dude. No, fucking dude is like, he's the team chef, you know?
Yep.
Well, fuck, bro, we're already at an hour. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because you're easy to talk to. You're a fun guy and just good energy. But the other thing that I wanted to delve into, which I hope you guys are ready for this, because everyone's like, oh, that Jereme guy, he seems like a nice fella. I like him. After he got out of the slammer.
Yeah. 26 months in the joint.
And so the reason that, we were talking about this on the mats the other day, and we were just having a very honest conversation about going to prison, getting out, and restarting your life after prison.
Yep.
And it's something that I think about often because I put people in prison.
Yeah.
And I've also worked in that environment where I'm getting guys out of their cells and shackling them up in their 3-piece suits.
Yep.
And then fucking they're shuffling down the hallway so they can meet with their lawyer in interview room 1 and all this shit. Right.
Yeah.
And, listeners are no stranger to this because I've talked about it on the show a lot. A lot of people that I dealt with in custody, I liked as human beings.
Yeah.
A lot of people that have either got involved in the gang culture or the drug culture or things that just influence them to make bad decisions doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people.
Yeah.
Now, again, like we talked about on the mats, there is criminal behavior that does make you a bad person.
100%.
If you fucking diddle a little kid,
you should die.
Yeah, we got nothing to talk about.
Wood chipper.
But the wood chipper. But the cool thing is, you even say, even inside the joint.
Oh yeah.
That culture is still like, hey, I may have slung dope or I may have fucking robbed someone. Yep. and we can agree those things are wrong and I shouldn't have done them, but it's a lot different. Even those guys have kids.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yep.
So where in your life did you go from being an athlete and just living like what you would call a good life, or was it kind of shit from the beginning?
It was pretty shitty from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me the story that led you into going to jail for 26 months.
Yeah. I always was, home life was chaotic, right? Just a lot of stuff going on there, right? Dad was, for me, what's amazing is his dad was worse, which I can't imagine, right? But just horrible with my mom, right? So
abusive.
Yeah, but not physically, right?
Okay.
It was mentally, it was controlling. He was a cocaine addict before I was born, right? So, that fucked with her a lot. They'd get some money saved up and then he'd go on a huge binge, sell the car, sell everything, put some cocaine on his toast in the morning is what I would hear.
Fuck,
he was bad. And
so, I hear addicts with like meth and heroin doing shit to feed their habit. You don't usually hear that with cocaine though. He sold the car, huh?
That's the stories I hear. Yeah.
Okay.
it was before I was born. He got clean off of coke, but I think it really, he used for so long. And I think it was just his propensity for violence and abuse that, his mind was toast. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had no business. My mom divorced him the first time when I was like 3, right? Me, my mom, my sister came up from California to Washington. Like 6 months later, he came up or something like that, lived together. They got remarried when I was 10. I had no idea they were even divorced. and then she left him, the second and final time when I was like 21. But, so, growing up in that house, life was kind of always shit, right? My mom tried, she's a great person, great mom, tried to shield me from his stuff. But it rubbed off for sure. Right. So, fighting all through school, getting suspended and stuff first time middle school, getting arrested and expelled the first time in 7th grade, for giving Ritalin away, a bunch of us got caught for it. And then just, I started smoking weed, I think in middle school too. So I was still, I was playing sports, but all my friends were older. Right. Which I don't think was a good fit because they weren't mentors. Right. Well, they were mentors. But
they were mentoring you the wrong way.
Right. And I would bounce around from groups of friends too. Right. I had friends that I would just get high with. I had friends that we'd be out committing crimes with together.
What kind of crimes?
Yeah. at that age, right. It was a lot of in middle school and stuff, young age, just a lot of vandalism, destructive stuff, blowing up people's mailboxes.
So the fun stuff.
Yeah. Stuff that kids do, right? Like, it's with some limitations, right?
Yeah.
Maybe robbing other kids money.
Okay. That's starting to push it a little far.
Yeah.
That's a little past the fun stuff.
It started getting bad. Yeah. High school comes.
So like other drug dealers, shit like that.
Yeah. So no, at that time it was really just, it wasn't drug dealers yet. It was just kids who thought they were tough.
Okay.
And so we were going to show them like, you ain't tough. Like, at least not when there's 5 of us and 1 of you, right? Which is how that life works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of those guys, a lot of those guys, right, one-on-one, just not how they operate.
And that was where at in Washington were you?
Up in Bellingham.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
Yep.
I didn't know there was gang activity in Bellingham.
There's some stuff going on. It's pretty interesting. And so yeah, move on to high school. Think things are the same, right? Getting arrested and expelled freshman year, can't have a butterfly knife on school campus, can't threaten someone with it.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought, right?
You can't have a butterfly knife in Washington State, period.
Yeah. Why'd they sell them at the mall, right? No. The thing is, I knew what I was doing. I knew the shit I was doing, right? But I didn't care. I wanted to do whatever I wanted. I didn't want anyone to tell me what to do. And I love the what's the word I'm looking for, Greg? Like the spirit of defiance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm good with that. But be a good fucking human at the same time.
Bro, that's the fucking trick,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because like there is something inherent inside of us, at least inside of me.
Yeah.
That someone says to do something, just the fact they told me to, there's a part of me that wants to say, fuck you.
Yeah,
make
totally.
me, right?
Yep.
And like,
Yeah.
I get that, right?
Yep.
And bro, like I've pushed back on a lot of things that I can push back on
Yep.
as far as like the government goes and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think you nailed it. Have a spirit of defiance that's still rooted in being a good person.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. Yeah.
That should be the next shirt.
Yep.
Fuck yeah, bro.
I like that.
Maybe we'll talk about royalties or something after the podcast.
Don't put it all back into the gym, and I'm good with that.
All right.
And so, yeah, going through high school, things were the same rights. I got expelled. They let me back in 4 hours after being back in, had to appeal to the school board and stuff, got put back on emergency expulsion. They're like, we'll give you one last chance. Had a security guard that followed me around from class to class. That was, that was fun. I didn't, I had to be there though. Right. And so that went on until, for freshman and sophomore year. And then kind of, had a big event that happens, the very end of my sophomore year, Olympic pipeline explosion in Bellingham.
Yep.
Leaked like 270,000 gallons of gasoline, right? It was my buddy's little brother. And there was amazingly, there was only 3 people that died from that. It was June 10th, super nice day. In the biggest park in the city up there, Whatcom Falls Park. And we were at my buddy's house, and, when it ignited, hit my buddy's little brother and his friend were down at the creek. We tried to save them and stuff. And that just, I always say, like, it just set me on a trajectory, like, just even worse than where I was already at. Right.
So the kids you were looking for are the kids that ended up dying?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They were the kids that ended up dying. Stephen Trevos, and Wade King.
So they were your homies' siblings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Stephen was. Wade was Stephen's friend who lived up the street.
How old were the kids?
They were 10.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yep. But what's amazing for me, like, it's maybe if I would have talked with someone about it and tried to work through it, like I was 16 at the time, just turned 16, not too long before that. Maybe if I would have talked with someone and worked through it. But dude, like that's why, like, I don't know how dudes go into combat and see this shit for fucking months at a time, multiple deployments, and can still function. Dude, I was fucked for a long time.
Did you find them?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
So bro, here's the thing, man. Like, going to war comes with its own set of stressors and dealing with violence.
Yeah.
But I always tell people that I think one reason why war, I shouldn't say it's easy to deal with because it crushes a lot of guys. But for me, it always made sense is because it's like, I'm going to the other side of the world where men have guns and they're going to try and kill me.
Yeah.
And I have guns and I'm going to try and kill them.
Yeah.
Everybody involved in that agreement understands that it's going to come with great violence.
Yeah.
So when you see dead bodies and people that are fucking shot and people laying in the streets, like, on one hand, it's gruesome, but it's also expected. And I think that changes how your brain kind of compartmentalizes that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you're a 16-year-old kid that's fucking smoking weed and skipping school. Like, you're doing some shitty things, but you're still a kid that now has to find his friend's dead 10-year-old brother.
Yeah.
Bro, that's a heavy burden to try and bear at 16.
The wild part is they weren't dead yet either.
Oh fuck, bro.
Like, yeah. And stop me at any point, right?
No, bro. To go is that's one thing that, like, when people want to talk to me about war, I'll fucking talk to you about war.
Yep.
I'll talk to you about dead kids in the street.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about shooting a guy from 4 feet away right in his fucking face. Like, there are things that are heavy, right?
Yeah.
But that's sometimes getting that heaviness out is actually healing.
Yeah.
It's something you went through. So there's no shame around it. You shouldn't be embarrassed or feel like, oh, yeah, that might be a little much.
Yeah.
Like, your story's your story.
Yep.
If people don't want to hear it, they can fucking push stop.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that, bro.
But that also, I mean, that's going to make it fucking 10 times as dramatic.
Yeah.
So when you found the boys, were they conscious?
So, yeah. So we were at the house. I mean, there's, this was the hangout spot, right? Everyone's there. A bunch of us came out front, to figure out what was going on. See black smoke just filling the sky. My first thought, like, literally it's fucking Armageddon. Like, the world's ending. Like, there was so much black smoke in the sky.
Did it, was Was there an initial like, whoomp, like you could hear the a detonation?
So I was inside when it happened. I was downstairs, like playing some video games, sitting there with my girlfriend, and I'm in the back of the house, and a bunch of the dudes were out back, and a bunch of dudes were out front, and the whole house started shaking. And I thought it was just a bunch of my buddies running up the stairs in the back of the the back deck, shaking the house. I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, nah, that doesn't feel right. And then I went out front. And so, yeah, so my buddies who were out front, told the story, right, that because there's beaver dams all along that creek where all the gas was. And so, like, the gas would come down the creek and it would hit a pocket and just, they see fireball shooting up in the air. It'd go down the creek further, another fireball shooting up in the air. But yeah, I mean, it fucking rumbled the house. I mean, that wasn't my buddies on the deck. That was the fucking 270,000 gallons of jet fuel blowing up.
Dude.
Like probably less than 1,000 feet from us.
Do you know what initially caused it?
Yeah, totally. So there was a construction crew working in part of the park. I think there's a water treatment plant on one side of it. They hit the pipeline, I think early in the morning, if I remember correctly. It started leaking. So those pipelines, I mean, obviously have safety features, right? That's shut off when they detect a pressure change. Well, dudes in this pipeline has had a horrible safety record, at least at this point. I don't know anymore. It would automatically shut off. Their supervisors told them to keep pushing the button, turn it back on. Push the button, turn it back on. And that's how it was able to leak, because it would have shut off and stopped the flow of the jet fuel at like some valve in the pipeline if they hadn't kept overriding it and letting it keep pumping.
So when you say jet fuel, it's not a natural gas pipeline. It was...
Yeah, so the Olympic pipeline around here, we see it a lot. It's, the white posts that come up, the orange flags.
Okay.
There's got to be one close to here somewhere where it pushes through. I don't know about it anymore, but at least back then they would switch products from time to time of what they were pushing through.
Oh shit.
But that specific time it was jet fuel from what I know.
And so they hit it with a machine or something, an excavator, punctured it.
Exactly.
And instead of, what year was this again?
99.
Okay. So bro, that was before like everything was ultra regulated and OSHA was everything. And it's just like,
totally.
Fuck it. Turn it back on. Let's just keep working.
Yep. Fuck it.
It was like the very end of that era where you can just get away with being a dumbass.
Yep. Totally. Yeah. Mid 2000s seems like things got tighter, right? Yeah.
Which on one hand is frustrating as fuck, but it's because like the saying goes is like, oh fuck it. Now I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, like one person fucks it up for everybody. Totally. It's that kind of stuff.
That's why that's why we can't have nice things, or you're why we can't have nice things. Yeah. Yep. And so we're out front, and all of a sudden, we hear Wade's mom up the street, crying for her son, yelling for her son, trying to figure out where he's at. One of the other buddies was like, hey, like, I'm pretty sure they went down to the creek. So we busted ass, 3 of us, me, my buddy, Andy Chorvos, other buddy, Ty Francisco. I think it was Ty and I first busted off like the side of the house, because their back right on the other side of their backyard was the trail for the park. Okay. And they backed up right to the park.
Yeah.
So we hauled ass down there. Wade was walking up towards us, like in the woods, but unrecognizable. Their clothes were burnt off. The only part of their body that wasn't burned was their feet, because, big skater shoes, right?
Oh,
big, thick shoes on. And
so a 10-year-old boy that's just completely charred.
Totally. 100%. So,
was he, I mean, obviously he's walking towards you. Were they able to communicate with you?
They were in such shock that they were walking, talking, and everything. So Andy and Ty, so we got Wade back to the house. Andy and Ty went down and found Steven, Andy's little brother, and carried him back up. I think they were unconscious when they found him, because he actually pushed Wade into the creek trying to save him.
Oh,
like he thought he was doing, like, see this fucking fire coming, right, bro, get in the water. He didn't know it was saturated with fuel. And it wouldn't have mattered either way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what was done was done. So they were both back up at the house. Like, we're panicking what to do. 911. I didn't call 911, but from what I heard, it was hard for them even to get through, because people are calling from all over the city, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And my first thought was put him in a cold shower. Luckily, we didn't do that because it might have killed them instantly, is what paramedics told us. Because their burns were so bad, it's, you just want to wrap them in a sheet.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, bro, like I've had a lot of experience with, IEDs were a big deal over there in, 04, 05, 06. Yep. And I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, cold shower doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's just where the brain goes. They're
totally
fucking burned.
Yeah.
Let's cool them down.
Yep. Yeah.
So what they said that would actually just put them further into shock?
Yeah. It would have put them further into shock. Okay. Just the drastic change like that. And I mean, there was like no skin left on their bodies, right? Anywhere. No hair, no skin, no nothing. Right. And they both end up passing the next morning. They were airlifted on a Harborview from the hospital up in Bellingham. They both passed away the next morning. I mean, there was no chance for survival. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was wild.
Well, bro, I know dudes that are, 20 years special operations that don't know how to communicate about their trauma.
Yeah.
You can't expect a 16-year-old to even, you didn't even know that there was probably a traumatic thing that you had to at least communicate about,
Yeah.
Because did you feel like you were bottling things up, or did you just feel like, I don't fucking know?
Oh no. Yeah. I knew things were bad. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I was just smoking tons and tons of weed, like probably put Snoop Dogg to shame. Right. Like it was, it was wild. I was selling more to feed that habit too. It was wild.
Did this change trajectory long-term then?
Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
So like when you say you started smoking weed to numb the pain, is that a cycle that went on for years?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It went on for, until I was just before, well, it went on for 2 years, just before I turned 18.
Okay.
Yep. So that went on. Yeah. The cycle, like you said, went on for 2 years before I turned 18.
And I guess if you said that your support unit at home wasn't the best.
Nope.
And you're hanging out with kids that probably aren't the best.
Yeah.
Is and now you're going through a hard time, but who do you fucking lean on?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And
did you make that correlation in your brain? Did you feel lonely at all, or was it just like, fuck it?
Oh yeah, I did sometimes. And for me, there was, the ways I dealt with it. I had a couple of friends, like even friends that were involved right in that situation, that their parents, tried connecting with me. My girlfriend through up until like my junior year, her parents really wanted to try to help, but I felt hopeless, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I felt like there was no hope and that my mind was fucked. Like I just couldn't get through this. Tried doing EMDR, I think is what it is. But it's like the rapid eye movement.
Stimulation stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was always too stoned when I went with the lady. So I couldn't even think. I found more hardcore friends, dudes who were, kidnapping people for drugs and for money and stuff, like other dealers, right? Not
just random people,
not just good citizens. Yes. Which still people though, right? Like
bro, yeah. Kidnapping a human being is kidnapping.
Kidnapping is kidnapping. Totally. 100%. Selling guns. I mean, they were doing everything, right? I found my place with them I should say, for a couple of years. Got into more trouble, buddies were breaking into cars, stealing checkbooks. I was like, oh, Jereme, you want to cash these checks for us at your bank? Well, they didn't say my bank, right? You want to help us with this? Sure, I can do this. Caught my first 3 felonies.
Oh, is that what you went down for then?
Well, the first, I had 7 felonies when I ended up going to prison.
Okay.
The first 3, were 3 counts of forgery. I was 17. Buddies were breaking into cars, right? Stealing checkbooks, stealing other shit, cashing the checks in my own bank, and got caught for it. And that right around that time,
bro,
so dumb.
Yeah, so dumb because, bro, you're taking fucking checks that you stole.
Yes.
And cashing them to your name at your bank?
To my name at my bank that has my address, my social on file, video cameras with my picture.
Shows how dumb the 17-year-old brain is.
So dumb, right?
Like, on one hand, like, you're doing shitty things,
yes,
right? And there's like you already said it, there's a part of my brain that knew I was doing shitty things.
Yeah, totally.
Like you have that voice of integrity, whether you listen to it or not.
Yep.
And that's something that they taught, like they preached in the Army, is it's like, do the right thing.
Yep.
No matter what scenario you find yourself in, if you ask yourself with honesty, what is the right thing to do here?
Yep.
You always know.
Yeah.
Right? So like you weren't listening to that voice even though you knew. But on top of that, you were being tactically unsound too. So like getting caught was inevitable, it sounds like.
100%. And, you know, I knew a lot of the cops, right? I mean, I grew up in that town, you know, had been in and out of trouble for a long time. And they would tell me, like, you know, I would commit crimes in my car too. And at the time I had this like big brown Cadillac. And they're like, bro, we call that like the brown bullet. We know it's you. Like, stop doing this shit. Like they were good dudes. Like at least at that time, everyone in the Bellingham Police Department that I ever encountered was a good cop. Like they were like, dude, you got to stop this shit. Like, look at these other people you're hanging out with. Like, your life is going to end in a bad way.
And bro, I'm happy you said that too, though, because, you know, we talk about cops on the show all the time.
Yep.
And I've said it often. The majority of police officers that I know, their heart's in the right place.
Totally. 100%.
You know, and that's just the truth. That's not me. Oh, I'm back in the blue or I'm protecting I'm not doing any of that. I'm saying from personal experience, 10 years in the profession.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them weren't what I would call great cops.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. They're good human beings.
Yes.
And that's what matters first to me.
I totally
agree. You know, you can't do pull-ups and you can't fucking shoot your gun. Like, okay, there's some things we got to talk about.
Yep.
But are you a good-hearted human being? And the answer is most of them are.
Yeah. No, I was on the other side. I mean, they were cuffing me up. They were taking me in. They were charging me.
Well, bro, what a pretty uncanny ability to have that kind of self-awareness at 16 because, or 18 or whatever you were. Because how do most people that live the criminal lifestyle look at cops? Fucking pigs. Fuck
cops,
those pigs, right? It's like, well, I'm the one out here doing dumb shit.
Yep.
And they're coming after me because they're supposed to. So I get it. And I got to respect them for that.
Yep. Totally.
It's a pretty powerful perspective,
100%.
bro.
Yeah. It's just,
see, that just proves to me that you were good inside.
Yeah.
You just didn't figure out how to express that yet. You hadn't found yourself.
Yep. Yeah. I appreciate that too. And yeah, so it's, you know, just before I turned 17, right? I was talking with my mom, like, something's got to change. Like, this isn't, again, right? This isn't sustainable. This is going to continue to get worse. One of the guys, you know, that I was really hanging out with, this guy like stabbed somebody in the stomach and the throat, somehow got out on bail, then got caught like unloading clips down the street when a deal went bad, right? These were guys I was hanging out with all the time. I was like, it's just a matter of time before I end up doing something similar or being involved. I'm being involved in it some way, I should say, right?
And bro, a lot of crimes, especially in the federal side of things with RICO and conspiracy.
Yep.
If you're involved, you're going down.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
And that's the system's way of getting all those fuckers that are involved in it.
Yes.
For that exact reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They call it the conspiracy train. Yep. Meaning, and the easiest way to explain it is it's like, hey, and this isn't like conspiracy theories like Alex Jones stuff. This is legal jargon, like conspiracy to commit crime, right? When two or more people, and or it might be three. It's been a long time, but regardless, you know, it is two.
I think it's two,
that's the conspiracy train. And if you agreed to commit a crime and made an overt action, like, hey, you can use my cousin's car for that, or whatever it is. You make an overt action, even if you then get off of the train and someone else gets back on it.
Yeah.
It's everybody that got on or off it that took any type of overt action. You're all going down together.
Yeah. And, you know, which makes sense. Like, that's how, like, because you thought you were sneaky or weren't involved in part of it, that you shouldn't be held accountable.
Yeah.
You're still fucking part of it, man.
Own
up, right?
Yeah. You know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, totally. Yep. And so, just, you know, fast forward, or, you know, back to when I was just before I turned 17, right? Again, you know, talking with my mom, was like, something's got to change. Found this place to go to. It's like some type of behavior modification camp for kids, right? Like, it's a 6-week program. Most of the kids get cuffed up in the middle of the night. Their parents pay to have them cuffed up and flown off, right? It was up in Sandpoint, Idaho. And I spent 6 weeks there. And there were times I hated it. There were times I tried to walk off, right? And big fucking dudes like you tackled me and took my shoes and put me in big ass rubber boots, like 20 sizes too big. So I couldn't leave. But, I needed that time away to clear my head a bit, right? It didn't totally help because I still got in more trouble later. But that's, at that point, I, stopped smoking weed, like cold turkey, right? Stopped weed, stopped cigarettes, stopped drinking, everything. I had to for me, right? And spent some time there, came back. But still, like, there was still, like, I mean, the best way I can describe it, right? There was something empty in my heart, right, Greg? Like something that's a hole that wasn't filled, and I was trying to fill it with my own ways. So yeah, still, ended up getting in some more trouble, right? Same type of thing, going in dudes' houses who owed money and stuff like that. Fast forward, caught a couple more charges, got sentenced to 18 months, was like, fuck that. I'm not going to turn myself in. Like I can forfeit the $5,000 bail money. I don't care. I don't call it the run. I was on the walk for 2 years because I was still in town. I was still working, I was working at the motorcycle shop, right?
And bro, they don't have there's no task force out looking for you.
No, not at all.
They're just, next time we come across this motherfucker,
yes,
he's going down.
Yep, totally. And then, yeah, sure enough, finally, right, got picked up at some point, caught my final charges, my 7th felony, got sentenced to 36 months, lost a little bit of good time, right, in that process. So you can't be a saint in prison as much as you want to be and not lose good time. And yeah.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Yep.
Because are you saying like if you behave how the system wants you to behave, that you won't be able to have any street cred?
For me, it's a couple different things, right?
Because bro, this is so, like, I may have worked
yeah.
inside of the corrections profession briefly, but this world is so foreign to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I can't even imagine what your perspectives from the inside are like.
Yeah. The difference, right, between like going from county to prison, right? County is tough because you're, in that building, you get no air, like outside air time, right? Dudes are coming off the streets, coming down from drugs, probably still keistering some drugs and getting high still. And everyone's a lot of people are in a totally fucked up mental state, right? Prison, you still have the drugs, still have some fucked up mental states. Drugs are, I would say, less than county. But dudes are still fucked up. Dudes still have bad days. Dudes still get letters or calls that their wife is, banging some other dude, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. And so, you could have a cellie who's a great guy, right? Housed up with him for, 6 months, whatever, right? And he just turns into a snapcase and you fight him in the middle of the night in your cell. And it doesn't matter. You're both going to the hole. You're both losing some good time, right? Or, someone gets put in your cell. So when you leave county and they transport you to prison, you have paperwork from court. It shows what your charges are. This is your own, you don't have to, like, this is your own personal paperwork, right? It shows what your charges are, like how much time you got for each charge, things like that. And so, you paper check work dudes in there. Like, I don't care if you were a bank robber. I don't care if you killed some people, like selling drugs. Like we're all in here, we're all criminals. But if you're a fucking sex offender, we're going to find out.
See, bro, it goes, we talked about that earlier, right? And that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
So you guys heard it here from someone on the inside. Like, we're looking for you guys.
We're looking for you guys. And we talked about them on the mats a while ago. I should have looked it up before the podcast, but there is a state, maybe it's Florida, like you had said.
Oh, where they're moving for the death penalty?
They're moving for the death penalty. At least someone in politics there wants to. And it should be. So yeah. If you paper check work fools, like ask them for their paperwork, because that's what you're supposed to do. You get into a cell, you get off the bus, you set your paperwork down on the bench or on a stool or on the table in the cell right away.
And just, hey, this is who the fuck I am.
This is who the fuck I am. Like, I'm still a criminal, but I've got they call it a good beef, right?
Yeah.
Like, means like you're not a fucking sex offender, right? You're a pedophile. And
yeah, bro, because dude, if I'm gonna be sleeping next to you,
yes,
I want to know what you're about.
100%.
I deserve to know that.
Yes.
You know?
100%. Yeah. I deserve to know. I mean, yeah, if you I mean, I remember, everyone in Washington goes from county to Shelton. The prison in Shelton is receiving. So you're there for like 6 weeks, you do classification, and then you get sent off to your parent institution, they call it. And there was a dude there who, if they would have asked me to, I wouldn't have celled up with, because he just like stabbed a bunch of random people.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a fucking snapcase, like not from somebody just flipping him off. He just was mental, right? But he was housed with everyone else. He ended up beating the hell out of his cellie in the middle of the night. And his cellie was a dude from Whidbey Island. I remember hearing this, like seeing this later, who ended up dying a couple years after he got out. And I almost guarantee he died from like brain shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you want to be able to sleep at night. Like you sleep with your back against the wall so your ass doesn't get taken. But
here's the thing. No, on one hand, like jail shouldn't be a good fucking time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Or prison, I should say. Shouldn't be a good fucking time.
Yep.
But you're in there doing your time, doing your punishment.
Yep.
You probably shouldn't have to fucking worry about getting stabbed every fucking moment of the day.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
I would assume that's what the hole is for. Dudes like that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And that's exactly it, right? Like,
so you said you've done time in the hole.
Yeah. I did a couple stints in the hole. So
what is the hole?
Yeah.
For people that don't know.
Yeah. Referred to as the hole or the shoe. The hole is shoe, secured housing unit. You are in a single cell. You are housed for 23 hours a day inside that cell. You come out for 1 hour a day for rec time, which is still monitored. You're alone during that rec time also. You can use the phone. You can shower.
During that 1 hour?
During that 1 hour. Depending on the facility, you can either be inside or outside during that rec time too. Depends on what that facility has. Yeah.
Yep.
There's depending on the facility, there could be 10 people in the hole. There could be hundreds. So you don't know what time, or not hundreds, right? But at least 100, right? You don't know what time you're getting out of the hole. Your hour out of the hole might be at midnight.
Oh yeah. I guess that makes sense. They're just rotating through.
Exactly. Yeah.
With no real, your timeline's not the top of their concern.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, you are.
So are you excited? I mean, can you say like, fuck it, I just want to sleep, or are you going to take that hour?
You know what? I don't know if you can refuse to come out. I think that you have to come out for the hour.
Okay.
And I believe it's because I don't think they can house you for 24 hours straight.
Some policy violation.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think they like humanitarian type stuff, right?
Well, and I don't care fucking what level of criminal you are. You probably want to shower.
Yes.
I guess
I did.
Yeah.
Not all those dudes want to. There's some nasty fuckers even in prison.
What's the longest stint you've done in the shoe?
Yeah. Longest was probably just 7 days. It's not bad.
It's not bad when you hear stories about like Shawshank Redemption or whatever guys doing fucking years. But
exactly.
I don't think anyone else in the team's been in a box for 7 days. You know what I mean? Like, what is that like from like, how is your mentality while you're in there?
Yeah.
I mean, you're what, 20, 21?
Yeah. Yep. Probably 22. Yeah. 22 to 26.
Okay.
Yeah. Right in that time. Always pissed off at first, right? Especially because when I was getting in trouble and going to the hole, it was within the first year and a half of my time locked up. The last of my time, right, is when we'll get to that, right, is when God really started to take hold of my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But always pissed off at first, like, fuck you guys. Like, my mentality was different because a lot of those COs, not all of them, again, just there's a lot of COs in there, corrections officers, that are great. They're good dudes. They're doing their jobs. They'll talk to you like you're a human being. And then there's dudes who will, when you're walking main line, right? Like, so when everyone's going to the chow hall together, right, to eat, they'll pull you out of line just to fuck with you. And you didn't do anything. Maybe you looked at them and they didn't like how you looked at them. So they got a power trip, right? So yeah, go to the whole attitude at first, right, is fuck you guys. This is bullshit. Like, sometimes they push my tray in. I push my tray back out. Like, I'm not eating this shit. But after a couple hours or a day or so, you cool off. And it's like, hey, can you, bring the library card around? Give me a book. Let me read. Like, let me do some push-ups and a lot of sleep. a lot of sleep. You learn to be a professional sleeper in the hole.
God, dude, I'm like, there's almost a part of me that's like, I kind of want to do a week in the hole.
Oh, dude.
I just want to see. I almost want to see what that is like.
Yep.
Because I mean, I guess the majority of it would just be overcoming fucking boredom, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, totally.
And you're allowed a book, like one book at a time. Is that kind of the thing?
Yeah. You can have reading material in there, right? You can always have a Bible if you want a Bible in there. You could have another book on top of that too. You can have your 1.5, maybe 2-inch pencil.
Okay.
For writing, get you some paper too. So yeah, it's not the worst thing ever. There's worse situations, right?
Yeah, it's fucking nuts though, dude.
Yeah. But again, it was my own choices, right? Paperwork checking guys, right? I had to, but it was still a choice. But like the fights and stuff, maybe there's some I could have avoided, but.
So let me ask though, because that's something that you see in all the movies, right?
Yeah.
You show up, you're the new guy.
Yep.
Is there a process of like gaining respect or not being fucked with, or like, I mean, one thing that I think gets way overplayed is like the sexual abuse inside of the system.
Yep.
Like, what did you see that going on?
Yeah. So, I mean, there is, definitely the guys who even back then, right, think they're like, they play the female role.
Yes.
But
I
mean, there's even guys who, they look like it too, right? And usually guys who've been in there a long time, but even guys who are in and out, and they like it. They typically will have one guy, right, that's their boyfriend, their protector, that they're hooked up with.
But it's not just like random dudes getting held down and raped.
No, I saw out of 26 months, I saw one time, I didn't see it, but I came back to the unit after a dude had just been raped. I think he knew on some level that it was going to happen. Like he was hanging out with this guy, and this guy was kind of grooming him, and then he took him to the cell and just furiously raped him. I mean, like, supposedly there was blood pouring out from under the cell door. Because when I came in, they were mopping the tier.
Oh fuck, dude!
And I was like, "What happens?" Like, dude, there was blood outside the cell. He's like, he destroyed him. It was horrible. But out of 26 months, that was the one time.
Yeah, and I've a lot of time working in the cell block and dealing with inmates. It's like people think like the joke is like, oh, you're going to jail, like prepare to fucking get, all that stuff. And it's like, nah, it's not. Because if you're a motherfucker, dude, you ain't getting raped.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Right. Like if you, so they show you the prison rape video as soon as you get to Shelton, right? Or whatever, whatever state you're in.
No, I don't. You said that they show you the prison rape video.
Prison rape video.
No, not right. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't even seen this. So it's the gist of the video, right? Is it's actors and dude walks in to new guy's cell, puts a Snickers on the pillow, and the guy's eating the Snickers, and the moral of the story is like, don't take the Snickers, don't eat the Snickers, because now you're his bitch and you owe him. Like, who knows what you're going to owe him, but it's probably sexual favors.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Like, you could get taken advantage of in a lot of ways in there, sexually, like financially, if your family's sending you money and you're buying commissary, right? So you're buying top ramen, extra food, whatever it is, drinks. Like, people will take your shit if you let them. 100% people will take your shit if you let them. But if you show a backbone, you don't even have to win a fight. But if you're willing to go in the cell and lock a door, in the 8x8 cell, and fight with someone with a metal sink and a metal toilet and metal bunks, like, people will give you respect. Be like, oh yeah, this dude will fight. Like, don't fuck with him.
Well, bro, that actually doesn't surprise me, because that's just kind of human psychology 101.
Totally right.
Like, what do they typically do? They're looking for the easiest victim.
Yeah.
And as soon as it's understood, again, it doesn't matter if you win or lose.
Yeah.
If you have to fight this person, let's look for someone else.
Yeah, 100%.
That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's exactly the same as the bully mentality. Yeah, it's 100%.
Was that something you had to go through early on?
No, you know what? I knew dudes in there already, right? It's a small world.
Yeah.
It's a small world, especially in the criminal side. So I knew dudes in there already. In Shelton, there was, I think, only one time right? Where I had to get down. Like, dude just kept talking shit. And I can ignore the shit talking, right? But then tried like putting his hands on me. Is like, I mean, let's just fight, man.
Yeah.
Let's get away from where the cameras can see us so we can try to get away with it and fight as long as we can fight. And
also, I mean, do you kind of have to do that just to set that reputation so you don't get fucked with?
At some point, you're going to have to, yes. At some point, you're going to have to stand up for yourself and you're going to have to throw down, like you said, for just so there's the knowledge, right, that I'm not the target. Like,
yeah, they're establishing that pecking order.
Yeah. Yep.
It makes sense, dude.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. The saying, I'm not the one. That's what it is. I'm not the one.
Okay.
Yep. And even the fuck around and find out, dude. We said that back then. Like, fuck around and find out you can't fight. What I didn't know is none of these, like, compared to these dudes out on the mat.
Yeah, of course.
Those guys can't fight.
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah.
No, like if you went to jail as like a fucking MMA fighter, you'd be like a fucking.
Yeah.
Well, we actually arrested War Machine. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
My team arrested him for beating the fuck out of Christy Mack, his girlfriend.
Oh, yes. That's right.
And it was federal because that happened in Vegas, and then he went to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And my team, I wasn't there. I was on the range that day.
Yep.
But they're the ones that fucking arrested him. And I remember they went in, and from what I heard, and again, I wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
But before even deciding if it was necessary or not to use any force, they just used force because like, this dude's a fucking savage.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Yeah, and so
I bet he didn't get fucked with in jail.
No, right?
I think he killed himself in jail. Did that happen?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look really quick.
Yeah.
Because now I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
But no, that's that's interesting because I always talk about pecking orders.
Yep.
And pecking orders, I think, are healthy.
Yes.
I talk about it on the mats too. And the pecking order that's established on the mats is not about who has the biggest dick in the room or you have to show me a different amount of respect because I can beat you up. None of that kind of shit. It's just, it's nice to know what the men to your left and right are capable of.
Yes.
And when you can't hide from it, and now it's like, you train here for a couple months, you're going to get the opportunity to put your hands on every one of our teammates.
Yeah.
And now you know what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And there's something that's comforting about that.
Totally.
And it sounds like that same thing to a different extent gets established in prison.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. No, totally does. And yeah, and it's also good, right? Because there was twice, I think, when riots broke out. Mainly it's always between, the Mexicans, unfortunately for them, right?
Yeah.
Like they have no choice, right? As other sides, like, I mean, I didn't have to click up, right? Other states are different. Like Texas, if you're white, you got to ride with the white boys. But, in Washington, at least at most locations, you can kind of sit with who you want, be friends with who you want, talk to with who you want. Yeah, sorry. You still want to know who can have your back if it comes down to it.
Okay. And so he's still alive. I was wrong. Maybe it was an attempted suicide or something. No, I was going to ask you about that because all of my experience dealing with inmates was Los Angeles. And bro, like gang culture
it's rough.
You have to have the people you're aligned with.
Yes.
And then by default of who you're aligned with, now you're in fucking conflict with other groups of people.
Yes.
And that's just gang culture in the prisons down there.
100%.
You said like you saw it with the Mexican guys, but is it something that's expected for most people in there?
Yeah. For, like I said, 100% for the Mexicans, they have to. For most other people, there's only really two facilities in Washington, probably three actually, that you have to, right? Like Clallam Bay, Walla Walla, and Monroe, right?
Okay.
And inside the walls, right? Not like at camp. If you're at camp, which means you have 5 years or less and you don't have any violent crimes, and you're out doing like cleanup patrol and this garbage patrol on the side of the roads and stuff, you're not clicked up with anyone, man. You're happy. You're living the life, right? Those dudes are keistering tobacco, running out on the road, bringing it back in, putting chew up their ass and taking it out and sharing it with everyone back. Horrible, dude.
I don't want any chew out of your butthole.
Oh,
we'll just get that out of the way right 100%.
Now. Well, there goes your Christmas present.
So, dude, if you are 5 years or less, you're in like a lower tier prison, and with that comes just I guess lesser gang stuff, lesser everything to a certain extent.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And where were you at then?
Yeah. Yep. So I went from Shelton to receiving to Othello, Washington, which is Coyote Ridge. They now have a medium and the camp there, like a medium prison, which is like long-term offenders, like probably some lifers too. And I was at camp to start with. So part of the story I missed was, because the prosecutors in Bellingham, they were trying to have some grace with me because of the pipeline stuff. So they sentenced me to this where you can do it with up to a 36-month sentence. You do 4 months in this boot camp style program, and you do the rest of your time on probation. Well, 3 months in that program, I got in a fight.
Oh, and you fucked your chances.
Fucking kicked out.
You think that's good though, looking back?
100%.
I mean, I know we're going into this next, but you're a man of faith.
Yes.
And that process took place in prison.
Yes.
And so, bro, maybe all of this is a blessing.
Yeah. No, 100%. The only things that I would change, the only things I regret is, that my family got hurt, dealing with this stuff, other people, right, that were hurt with, my crimes and stuff, people's cars we broke into when I was young.
Yeah, of course.
Things like that. But the shit that happened to me, I would not change it for anything.
I love that, bro.
Yeah, not at all. I love that. And it's crazy to think,
you needed it.
100% I needed it. If I would have only done those 4 months inside at camp,
you thought, I got over on the system. Watch this.
This was fucking easy.
And bro, I've seen that firsthand with young kids, because with the gang culture, not only is in and out of prison kind of like a revolving door.
Yes.
But they're actually expected to do some time.
Yes.
That actually gets them some street cred,
stripes,
right?
Yeah.
So they're in and out, and they're in and out, and they're in and out. And they start to think, hey, dude, I go in, I get out. Yeah. That's just how this works, right?
Yeah.
And then this one kid in particular, I remember, he's like, every time I get charged, my lawyer figures out a way to get me off.
Yeah.
And he got sentenced to 40 years.
Yeah.
And I remember taking him to the cell block after that, and it's like, has it set in? Is it set in yet?
Yeah.
This time you're fucked.
Yeah. You're only seeing dicks and assholes the rest of your life.
And that's the thing I tell people about the federal system. People hear, federal prison, and they think it's like the worst shit in the world. You already said it. County prison's the worst shit. Yep. County jail is the worst shit in the world. Yep. Federal prison is not as terrible of an environment, but where the feds get you, they throw the fucking book at you.
Yep.
And you're going to do the time, man.
And you get shipped all over the U.S. You're not close to your family potentially, right?
Yeah.
You could get shipped across the U.S. around no one you know. Ain't no one coming to visit you.
Yeah.
Ever.
No one's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save you. Yeah, no one's coming to save you.
Fuck, dude. So how far into your prison stint did you decide to pick up that Bible and start? And let me ask you this too, were you involved in faith at all prior to this?
Yeah. So growing up, right, went to church sometimes. I've always believed in God, right? But there was, for me, there was no relationship with Christ, right? There was no foundation there. There was nothing there, nothing substantial. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Just other than, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe these morals are good. Things like that. Yeah.
But obviously not practicing any of them.
Not practicing. Not at all, right?
So was there something that shifted in a moment, or was it just the process of delving in a little deeper?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was really the process of one, just, talking with guys, right, who, a lot. So when I got kicked out of camp and got shipped to Spokane Falls, Airway Heights there, into long-term medium, doing time with guys who were never getting out and who were still joyful. It was wild. These never getting out, right? And that they still had joy. And I was like, what the hell? Like, this doesn't make sense, dude. Like, how are you not, like, I've seen you for a couple of months now, never snapped on anyone, never, bitching at the cops. Like, I didn't get it. I wanted to know. Right. And so, and just talking, a lot of those dudes, like they had found God. And, so at a lot of the facilities, right, people will come off the streets. They do, it's not just for Christianity, right? They do it for AA. They do it for a lot of things, right? But hold sermons and stuff. And so started going to those. And at least for me, I realized like I'm lost, man. I'm like that, the stuff in my heart, that the space that feels empty, that I was trying to fill with violence, that I was trying to fill with drugs, with women, with, cars and money and stuff. Like for me, that's what was missing. It was God. Like it was, I needed him.
Bro,
at the center
I got
of my
chills
life.
from this.
Yeah. And we all have different beliefs, right? My favorite verse is Joshua, I think it's 25:15. It might be 24:15, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. But before that, he's talking about how, whoever you choose to, to worship, right? Because we all have different beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Like we can coexist. Like I don't believe that God made us robots. Not at all. We have free will. We can choose. But just because someone else isn't a believer, and I don't know how I got started on this, but I'm going to finish.
Bro, I like this because, dude, that's one of the things that people will push back on religion, because it's like, dude, don't shove your shit down my throat.
Yeah.
Like, and we don't need to, right?
Yeah.
Like, I honestly think fucking half of the wars have been fought over differences in religion, right?
Yep, totally.
And it's like, dude, isn't the foundation of religion supposed to be empowering?
Yes.
And building community and love and strength and all the things that we think of when we think of a religion, right?
Yep.
But then there's always the people that are like, and if you don't believe what I believe, we want to fucking kill you.
Yes. Yep.
It's like, whoa, hold on a second.
Yep.
What's going on here, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the fact that you can sit there as a Christian and be like, and bro, you can't be part of a jiu-jitsu team if you aren't open to diversity.
Yeah.
And I tell people this all the time. Like, the white conservative male has now got this like this persona attached to you where you're not accepting and you're a bigot and you're racist and you're this and you're that. And it's like, no. I honestly live my life by you do you and I'll do me. Yeah. And as long as we're cool to each other, we can be friendship. Yep. We can have a friendship.
Totally.
And it's like, I like that you brought that up, because that's something that people need to hear.
Yeah. Yep. And it like, if somebody like flat out ask me what my view is on something, I'd be honest with them.
Of course.
But I'm not going to go give it to them unsolicited, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's people in my work environment. We have very different views. They are great people. I love to work with them. I don't bring up the stuff, right? And they don't either. It's likewise, right?
Yeah.
My boss, I'm going to be in, not too far, right? Just in Seattle, but at a hotel with all my coworkers for a couple of days next week. And my boss is bringing her wife. And I'm like, does that mean we finally get to meet her? Like, bring me in part of your family, bro. Like, we spend every day together, all this time. And it's, we're all different, Greg. Right. And it's, I'll never, if someone asks, I won't hide what I think. I will never be a dick about it. I won't be hurtful about it. Unless you're a child molester. Let's go back there again. Throwing the fucking wood chipper. Yeah. I think that's biblical too. Somewhere.
That's a sin that I'll just accept.
Oh yeah. No, 100%.
Judge me for that.
Yeah. 100%. And yeah, yep. We need to live together. I think that's part of what's wrong with our society now, is that we're so one side or the other. Like, can we come back to the middle and just have our differences? At least most of us, right?
Oh, I agree with you. And I'll even take it a step further. I think these differences are fabricated on our phones and our social media and our televisions more than they are rooted in reality. Yeah. Right. Yep. And the reason I say that is because, like, again, like, if you don't think that the trans movement is a great thing, I'm now a transphobe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not. There's no part of me that is transphobic or even looks at a trans person and says, man, fuck them. Right.
Yep.
But what the narrative has now been pushed is if you don't celebrate that lifestyle, you're now somehow a piece of shit. And it's like, I don't have to celebrate everybody's stuff either.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Being accepting and celebrating are two different things.
100%.
And when a certain group of people demands that you celebrate them, well, it goes back to what we said earlier, that spirit of defiance in us.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Yeah.
But the equal and opposite side of that is you and I are sexually attracted to women.
Yeah. Yep.
Do I expect anybody to celebrate that or treat that like it's special or put us up on a pedestal because of who we choose to have in our bed?
Yeah,
Nope.
not at all.
It's all meaningless bullshit. And I think it's been strategically calculated to turn us all against each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Now, I do think that it doesn't have a place in school and fucking libraries.
Yep.
I don't need to have fucking dudes in bikinis reading to kids.
Yep.
I don't want you in a bikini reading to my kid.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying, dude? Like it's
Yes.
Hey, it ain't against them. It's about the activity.
Yes. 100%.
And it's funny too, because I just went and bought I bought weed at one of the local pot shops.
Yep.
Last week. And the dude that came up looked like a young girl, right? Super skinny, long blonde hair. It was like, I thought it was like this cute young girl, right?
Yep.
Comes up, 100% a dude.
Yep.
And he goes, "Hey, what's up, man?" Like with a voice like mine, right?
Yep.
And bro, we start shooting the shit. And I walk out to the car, and Jenny was out in the car, but the front of the facility was glass, so she could see in there. And she referenced the girl that was helping me out in there. I said, "That wasn't a girl.
Yep.
That was a young man, right?" I said, "But here's the ironic thing. I kind of liked him.
Yeah.
Like we had good energy.
Yes.
We had good banter back and forth. I talked about different, like what I was looking for. And as I was driving away, I was like, I should have that dude on the show.
Yeah. Totally.
I should, man.
Yeah.
Just be like, bro, check this out.
Yep.
You think you're a young woman, and to me, that's weird as fuck.
Yeah, totally.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But we can sit down and have a good conversation.
Yes.
We could even be friends. I don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and that's what it is, right? Like we can still connect. There's still, I agree. I also believe that a lot of the stuff between us, on the different sides is fabricated.
Yeah.
To push us further apart, cause more division, so the government can step in and do more of what they think do what they want to do and push their agenda, right? And
I
fuck
agree.
them. Yeah.
But one thing that we need to do as individual citizens is we need to stop allowing ourselves to just get pulled onto this team or pushed onto that team.
Yep.
Because it's like, it doesn't matter what's going on.
Yeah.
It can be fucking the Israeli-Palestine conflict or Russia and Ukraine or transgender and not transgender, like black and white. Like you can go down the list of narratives that they've tried to push and force feed us, right? And I think a lot of people now are just of a mindset of, well, I guess I need to jump onto one of these camps. Yeah. You don't need to jump on a camp.
Not at all.
Fuck jumping on the camp.
Yeah. I'm me.
I'm me.
I don't need something to identify with any of those fucking sides.
Yeah. Now, obviously, if there's something you see or something you identify with, or, like a good example is a guy that I've competed with against in jiu-jitsu a lot. Yep. And you actually start to know the guys that are in your division because it's like, oh, fuck, I'm fighting Omar again for the 4th time or 5th time, whatever, right? Yep. And he's from Jordan, and he knows people in Palestine, and he talked to me about it. We had a back and forth on Instagram, and when I say back and forth, I was giving nothing to the conversation. I was listening to what he had to say because he went there and did some medical aid, and it's like, man, there are two sides to this issue. Yeah. Whether you think there are or you don't, well, it doesn't matter because Hamas started it on October 7th when they flew into the concert or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that there's not another perspective, because I have a buddy that was just over there dealing with fucking kids that were getting blown up.
Yeah.
And that happens, right? Yeah. So on one hand, I see how it's easy if you have a belief system that makes you tend to want to support one side or the other, to jump all in with your camp, right? Yeah. But I also want to caution people to jump all in, because I think it is being, like you already said, they're doing it by design to make us all hate each other. Yeah. And as long as we all hate each other for whatever reason you can come up with, these elite motherfuckers sit at the top. Yeah. And then we're just stuck down here.
It's supposed to be united we stand, right?
100%, dude.
Yeah. And we are tough motherfuckers when we're united.
And they know that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like, And it's funny too, because for a long time, when I was young and I was in the wars, I never identified as a Christian.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't just going to pretend to when I didn't feel like I'd found faith.
Yeah, of
right.
course, yeah.
But it was easy to hate Muslims because we were fighting them.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally right. Yeah.
And it's, fuck Muslims.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no, fuck a certain group of people that I'm fighting with right now.
Yep.
And even now I look back on that as like, well, I probably would have been doing it too if the tables were turned, right?
Yeah.
But there's plenty of Muslims that are good people.
100%.
So why do Christians and Muslims have to hate each other? They don't.
Exactly. And it shouldn't be that way, right? And you know, the Christian crusades, right? Christians were fucking killing people for not converting. Dude, there's been both sides. There is shitty people in every religion.
Bro, when the king of France was fighting against the Vikings, they would say, convert or get executed.
Yeah.
And some of the guys would be like, fucking execute me then.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I bet.
And then some of the guys would say, okay, I accept Christ.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because you're a man of God now.
Yeah.
Like it would excite you to bring someone to Christ,
Totally.
right?
Yes.
Like because you feel like I am bringing this person to something that is going to have a massive positive impact on their life.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So can you imagine being like, hey, convert to Christ or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, I'll convert.
Yeah.
Does that make you feel good? Do you think you accomplished anything?
Not at all. No, that's not for me. That's not real salvation.
No, fuck
there's no
dude.
heart change in that person, right? You just scared the shit out of them. They don't want to fucking die. They want to live.
Yeah.
They want to have sex with their wife another time, right?
Yeah, dude. When you said that hole in your heart that you were trying to fill with fucking violence and drugs and women and crime, when you started to fill that spot in your heart with Christ, that you just knew it was right. You felt it, huh?
Yeah, totally right.
Can you describe that experience?
Yeah, we believe in something called progressive sanctification, right? Like I don't think maybe there's times, right, that people change overnight and instantly feel different, right? For me, it was a long, it's still a process, brother. It's always going to be, but it's just the way I think is different, and it was right, and it continues to be. But the way I started to think was different. The way I look at other people. Pretty early on, I learned this term, imago Dei, which means made in the image of God, and for me, that's what really brings it together. We're all the same, whether someone's a Christian or not. We're still made the same.
Yeah,
that's why we treat each other good. We respect each other. If you see someone on the side of the road who looks, maybe it's a dude wearing a dress, I'm still going to pull over and help you if you're on the side of the road, brother.
Yeah.
Like, ma'am, whatever you want to be called. No, I still call you brother.
It's ma'am.
I call my wife bro, so everyone gets called bro. She hates it, but no, like it's, yeah. And so, yeah, for me, that was what's really, just really started to change, right? Like my urge just to snap at people and be violent, like started to change. I should say for no good, like being violent for no good reason, right?
Yeah.
Like just because you looked at me cross, right? Like, or
of course, bro. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
There's a time and place for violence.
100%.
But usually that time and place isn't right now.
Yeah.
That's just the truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, it's very few and far in between, right? At least in my circle, right?
And if it's not, it's probably time to start exploring new circles.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah, 100%. That's a good point.
One thing that you said that caught my attention is you said the guys that were a little farther along than you were able to find joy in an environment that most people would probably perceive as misery.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were on the call when we were talking about with Forged Ferocity with Viktor Frankl. And are you familiar with who he is?
Not, no.
He wrote Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay.
And he was he was a Holocaust survivor. Wow. He was in the Nazi internment camps. And one thing that he said is like, a lot of people would cling on to hope, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, hope is not the answer.
Yeah.
Because hope is becoming hopeful that a certain thing happens that will bring you joy.
Yeah.
You don't find joy in hope. You know where you find joy? You find joy in learning to be able to derive that joy from what is happening in the moment.
Yeah.
And he's like, and even inside of a concentration camp where you might die, well, what am I grateful for in this moment? What is going better for me in this moment than perhaps what happened yesterday or whatever it is? And he's like, you could start to look at the little tiny wins and say, you know what, I'm grateful that that happened today. And I feel joy because of that. And I'm choosing to find joy in my day-to-day life, even though from the outside looking in, my day-to-day life looks absolutely miserable.
Yep.
I can decide to be miserable, or I can decide to look for joy in the little things. And it sounds like the exact same thing, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Totally. I'll have to read his book.
Yeah, bro. No, it's fascinating.
Powerful. Did you guys record the session?
Yes.
I'll ask one.
But a lot of times I forget to hit record, and then people are like, hey, have you hit record yet? Yeah, my bad.
I've seen that. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that already.
No, but I think that's, I think that is finding the good in religion.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Like that is what, when I think of people that want to live a faith-based existence, it's like, hey, how can I use the words and teachings of this book to make me a better person?
Yeah.
To serve my community,
Yep.
to lift those around me up. Like shit, this seems like pretty simple, right?
Yep.
But I think that gets lost on a lot of people.
It does, yeah.
And like Dave has me, he's the one that recommended that I read Proverbs because he's like, listen, Greg, I know that you're, I don't know if he said like not a man of faith or whatever, but he said like, I think as someone that is into personal excellence, Proverbs is the Bible's personal excellence program.
Totally.
And when you read that, I don't give a fuck who you are, what your faith is, what your opinions are on Christianity. When you read those words, they're good words, man.
Yeah. It's applicable for everyone.
Yes.
And you know, it's 30 days in the month, right? 30 chapters, right? And just.
Are you someone that reads Proverbs once a month?
No. Have I? Yes. Do I every month? No.
Okay. Cause I have a friend, he told me that he goes, Proverbs is he said that exactly. There's 30 chapters.
Yeah.
I try and read one a day and Proverbs is a continuous thing that I consume.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that was, if that's just is that a common thing?
Oh yeah. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Totally is. Yeah. Yeah. Common thing.
It's the Bible's 75 hard, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally right.
Let me ask you this. And this isn't me trying to pick apart at anybody's faith or Christianity, but one thing that kept coming up in Proverbs that I was like curious about is there's a lot of references to kings.
Yeah.
It's like your king gives you wisdom. You'll be foolish to not listen to him or shit like that. Right.
Yes.
And then that little bit of defiance starts kind of welling up in my heart because there's always a part of me that's like, dude, you know what America was founded on?
Yeah.
Saying, fuck the king.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally right.
Right.
That's a great question. This is what I would think. I think that for some of those references, they could be possibly referring to Christ because, you know, for as Christians, right, he is our king. It would depend on what word in Hebrew was actually used there in that specific instance. You know, we also do believe, you know, a lot of the people back then wanted, you know, that's why the Bible tells us, right, to submit to authority, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. What I was pulling from certain chapters of Proverbs was it's like, hey, kind of have trust in authority.
Yes.
Right. And I think that is all well and good.
Yep.
And it makes for a functioning society.
Yep.
When the authority figures are people of morals and integrity.
Yes.
And maybe they were back then. I mean, I shouldn't say maybe. There was a lot of shitty people back then too, just like there is now.
Yeah.
Right. But when I look at today's, again, leaders and air quotes, it's like, I don't trust authority any farther than I can throw them these days.
Yep. No, totally. And so at least for us, when we say submit to authority, you know, it's for following first, if it doesn't contradict the Bible. If it contradicts the Bible, right? Like, you know, during, again, got to do it one more time, the pandemic, air quotes, you know, our church was featured in the news for staying open, for not doing masks, for other stuff, right? And how horrible were we, right? And
Bro,
it's like,
they went after you guys.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean,
you're having service.
Yeah.
You're worshiping your God.
How dare you
arrest them?
Worship me in my mask and my vaccine, right? Sorry. No, totally.
No, bro, that's just going to make Endless Endeavor listeners like you more.
Nice. I love it. But yeah. So it's, I don't know, I should go through, I'll go through and read Proverbs again. And
bro, I'm not trying to put you on the spot
no,
and
not
have
at all.
specific answers.
Yeah.
We're just talking,
yeah.
you know?
Yep. Because I am curious now, because there's, like I have one of my good buddies, shout out Grant. He, he's done some classes up at the range with Toby and stuff. And he's got a huge flag out front of his house, like flying like 20 feet up in the air. It says, "Come and take them."
Yeah.
Right. So, but I know as a Christian man, I know he submits to authority, but there's limits.
Yes.
And so my guess would be right that the references are either to, some of them maybe to Jesus, like about Jesus Christ. Well, about God specifically, I guess. This is Proverbs, right? Christ wasn't born yet. Or it's talking about just the good wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Like take the good and throw the shit away.
Yeah.
That's my guess. But I want to study that now, actually. I'll let you know on the mats one day.
Okay. No, I like that, man.
Yeah.
And I like being able to have open questions and talk.
Totally.
And here's the thing, man, like, because it's funny, because I don't know what I consider myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the Bible and a lot of Christianity is very intriguing and very powerful.
Yep.
And bro, when you read something and it just hits, and you just know there's something you just know is right about it, right?
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yep.
I feel that looking through the Bible. And I think most people would, if you would approach it without any like preconceived notions or expectations, right? But then there's the other side of me that's very critical about things.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I have a hard time believing that the Earth's 5,000 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's not me trying to fucking call anybody anything or even really want to like argue that. It's just, okay, this seems unreasonable to me.
Yep.
But this seems reasonable.
Yeah.
And bro, my whole life is a process of just dissecting it. And I think that it's something that I'm probably going to continue to do.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've been reading the Bible a lot lately, and Jenny's actually said something the other day asking like, she's like, "Do you want to be a Christian?"
Yep.
Because you've like been in the book a lot. And I said, "Yeah, I do."
Yep.
And she goes, wait, what? And I said, well, let me say it like this. If I could feel like, okay, I studied enough, I heard enough perspectives, I feel comfortable landing on this.
Yeah.
This is my truth.
Yeah.
This is what I believe to be factual, and I'm going to go all in on it.
Yeah.
Bro, that would feel good.
Yeah.
That would feel good.
Yep.
I mean, I say it all the time. All of my closest friends are Christians.
Yeah.
And we talk about this stuff often. I would like to arrive at a conclusion like most of my friends have. Yeah. But there's a fucking part of my brain that also is like, nope, you're going to think about this perspective too.
Yep.
And you're going to think about that perspective too. And that's just me, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. Like I said, I don't think God created robots.
Yeah.
We're not robots. Like, and I do believe he made you exactly how he made you for an exact reason, Greg. Mm-hmm. Right? And if that's how he made you was to question shit, that's how he made you. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
So he's not surprised.
No, there's no surprises, right? None at all. Yeah, no, none at all. I
also want to try, and this is another thing, like this is one of my, when I push back against organized religion, right? I want to try and live a life that my friends and family can look at and say, dude, he had a strong moral compass. He made good choices. He loved people. He loved his family. Like all the things that you would expect to be taught from Christianity. Yep. I want to be able to do that because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Not because it's, you need to do this. Yeah. Yep. Right. Totally. And maybe that's also kind of rooted in that spirit of defiance. Yep. But I think we should be able to at least be moral. I got a bunch of thoughts going through my head at once, right? So let me ask you this then, because I feel like there are a lot of people that be like, hey, you can do no good, only God can do good. Yeah. Right? I feel like that's a message that gets pushed out a lot. And it's like, I think we should celebrate people doing good. Yeah. I think that's okay to say like, hey, this person made a choice to do this and it was the right thing. And that's fucking powerful, right? Yeah. Not, hey, you're just a little peon and God did that. Yep. That wasn't your work. Yeah. Or whatever it is. Yes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah, no, I agree with that. I would say that
Because listen, if he gave us free will, as
yes,
you put it,
yes,
that means he gave us the choice to do good or do bad.
yeah, totally.
So if he gave you the choice to do good or bad, and then you made the choice to do good,
Yeah.
and then you said that wasn't you, that was God, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, what's going on
Yep.
here?
No, I agree, right? It's there may be things that's right that God puts on my heart, but ultimately like he allows me to make my own choices. I believe that everything that's good has happened in my life is through him, right?
Uh-huh.
My wife, my kids, right? We talked about that. Never before I imagined I was going to be married, have kids that knew me and loved me.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, I believe that's all from him.
Bro, do you think, were you in the middle of a thought?
No.
Okay. Do you think having a really, really shitty father actually made you a good father?
You know what? It's interesting. It definitely gave me the perspective on things I don't want to do. But I think there's a lot of men that have that, and we still do it though too, right?
Well, I think most men that have a shitty father become a shitty father.
Yeah. Yep.
But unless you make the cognizant decision to break that cycle.
Yeah. Yep. No, and that's, I mean, a huge part of it, right? I mean, I do believe I am the leader in my home, but I also do believe that God paired me with the perfect woman. Like her background is totally different, right? She's from the most southern part of Mexico. Her dad is a pastor. You know, he became a Christian, I think maybe when she was 2 years old or something like that. They used to plant small churches. I mean, he grew up a cowboy though. I mean, dudes got shot and killed in his town, like little town he was from, right? Like he didn't grow up like that. And so she is, fuck Greg, what was the question?
Fuck, I don't know.
I'm sorry, bro.
we're just going off on tangents. But you said you thought that
parenting.
everything that was good came from God.
Yes.
Right? And you said,
Yeah. Yep. I remember
Okay.
where it's at. Yeah. So yeah, she is definitely a great example of how to parent. I look to my father-in-law as examples of how to be a father. I look to other men, right, in the church and stuff also. But, and this is kind of bringing this full circle, the thing that's been missing and where I'm at now is on the fitness journey is like, there's a piece of this that's missing. Like, yeah, there's parts to being a good father, right? And not being the same dad, you know, same father that my dad was, right? Like the abuse and just other shit, right? I mean, I started fist fighting him when I was 13.
Yeah.
I hated how he talked to my mom. He whooped the shit out of me every time, right? But, and so, yeah, sorry, bring this back. I just didn't want to be him. And I really do believe that God had changed my heart. Like, I mean, I have my moments, right?
of course.
Dude, I mean,
bro.
my kids have seen me stop the truck, you know, in the middle of the highway, not the freeway, but the middle of the highway, and like scream at the dude in the car behind me because he's like on the ass. I pull over, he pulls over behind me, and it's like, all right, you want to fight? Let's fight.
Well, bro, our monkey
horrible.
brain's always going to have a vote.
Yeah, totally right.
It's always going to have a vote.
I like that.
And that's something that, and I'm rereading Emotional Intelligence right now because
Start that.
I feel like I read that book. I gained a lot of perspective. I felt like I had more self-control for a while.
Yep.
And now I feel like it's slipping a little bit.
Yep.
And then I just thought in my head, I said, hey, dummy, like use a jiu-jitsu analogy. You could show up for jiu-jitsu for a year and now you're a 1-year white belt. You got a pretty good understanding of how jiu-jitsu works.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good now. Got it.
Yep.
And then you stop training. What's going to happen? Well, that's what happened to me.
That makes
You know
sense.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you want to have absolute power over your emotional well-being
Yep.
and your ability to control your emotions, it's a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
It's not something you read a book, you do a couple exercises and you feel better about yourself and hey, I got it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I had a couple incidents take place where it's like, it's an intersection and a guy flips me off and I'm like, old Greg would hunt you down and kill you.
Yep.
But I have better control now, right?
Yes,
and it's like, I remember I've told the stories on the podcast before. It's like, dude, that was a win.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, you can't keep stacking wins if you're not putting in the work.
Yeah.
And so I've realized, like, dude, hone that side of your fucking blade a little more.
Yep.
You know?
That makes sense. And I was actually, when we talked about the book and one of the calls the other day, I'm gonna actually pick it up at Barnes and Noble today.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I think that's a good one, man.
Nice.
So to wrap this up, because we only do 2-hour episodes and we're already at 2:20, bro. We got to wrap this up pretty quick. But the one thing that I wanted to say is, that's the one thing that I see a lot of people of faith almost purposefully neglect.
Yes.
Is their physical well-being.
And it's sinful.
And
neglect it.
And the thing is, I don't know, there's a part of me that's like, hey, if they, if when they die, this physical body just turns to dust and they ascend to heaven, oh, fuck this physical body.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world, right?
Yep.
But the other side of it is like, man, if you were given the opportunity to be a human being, be the best fucking human being you can be, right?
Yep, totally.
And so like, that's something that I've always wondered about. Like you see a lot of people of faith neglect the physical body.
Yeah.
And you said it. No, bro, that's sinful. It's sinful.
Yes.
It's a bad choice.
Yeah, 100%. No, yeah, we're supposed to take care of ourselves. We're not supposed to be gluttonous. We are also supposed to be defenders.
Oh yeah.
And you ain't I'm not defending anyone right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, yeah. I mean, my we have 2 Malinois, right? And they'd probably do more damage than I would right now.
Well, fuck, those 2 Malinois probably do more damage than I would, bro.
They're pretty fun. No, I love those guys. No, it's, we are, we're called to lead as men. And part of that is spiritually. That's also physically too. Like how can you have, I think a lot of the time too, right? And I stopped looking at porn a long time ago. Thank God, at least for me, it was super destructive.
Yeah.
Right? But the food is just another thing. It's another horrible habit that's doing the same damage, I think. Maybe it's a little bit different, right? Physically, right? But
it's something that's combating discipline.
Yeah, totally. No, so I 100% agree. There's a lot of men in faith who do not think that the physical side is important, that being prepared, training, right? Jiu-jitsu, any type of martial arts, fitness, training firearms. They don't think that stuff's important. And fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like Jesus, like the disciples asked Jesus, I believe it's in Matthew, right? Jesus told them to leave their belongings and take their cloak and their sword. And one of the disciples said, well, I have 2 swords and 2 is better, right? We are supposed to be prepared as men. We should be able to fight. Like, again, it doesn't mean, right, our psycho side shouldn't be fighting because of traffic, right?
No, but if someone tries to fucking abduct my daughter,
yes, they are going to die.
And I have to be ready and prepared to do that.
Yes.
Totally. And I know, and here's the thing about this too, is we can use the most dramatic example, someone trying to abduct our daughter, right? Of course we're going to fight and die.
Yep.
Someone's dying over that, right? But what's more important, maybe not more important, but equally as important, is the person that's capable of defending your daughter.
Yeah.
Just being that person day to day is inevitably going to be the person that is the example for that daughter.
Yeah.
And your daughter's going to see that person.
Yes.
And then she's going to start to attribute that's what a man is.
Yeah.
Then when she starts seeking a mate, she's going to say, I know what a man is. Yes. A man looks like this. Yes. And it all starts with us and our physical body.
Totally.
And so I fucking think it's something that's strange to me that people neglect.
Yeah.
Because it's not about if I'm going to win the next fight I'm in.
Yeah.
It's about so much more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
And bro, and I say it all the time, our kids don't do what we say, they do what they see.
Yeah.
Yep. When your daughter sees you become this savage, she's going to be like, my dad showed me what a man is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then that's who your son-in-law is going to be one day.
Yeah.
And that shit's important, man.
Yeah. That's, I've never thought of it that way. And I totally agree. Whoever she ends up being with and marrying, I want him to be able to protect her and lead her. And if he looked like me, that fat fucking ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, bro.
Right? Maybe walk up in his slippers and get the mail and be winded, and that'd be about it.
Well, bro, and maybe he needs to be the man of the family one day.
Yeah.
Once you're an old man.
Yeah.
And we're fucking decrepit.
Yes.
I hate to admit this, but maybe one of my daughter's husbands will take up the alpha role in this family. Yep. And that's okay, right?
That's totally okay.
As long as they're the right person.
Yes, as long as they're the right person, yeah.
So bro, let's do this. We're at 2:24, so we're going to wrap this up. Yep. But I think we should take and we don't have to put this out to the internet. This should just be ours, right?
Yep.
But we should take a picture together.
Totally.
In the next, I don't know, we can do it today or whenever next time you're at practice and we're done training, we're all sweaty.
Yep.
And then one calendar year later, take another one.
Yeah.
Because, bro, you're not getting out of this one.
Yep.
You're stuck with me. You're stuck with the team. And I believe that this is going to be just yet another jiu-jitsu success story, man. I feel it.
Me too. And I'm super grateful for it also.
Fuck yeah. You got anything else to wrap this up then?
No, I appreciate it. This has been great.
As always, I like to add people's social media in the, if you're okay with that.
Oh, totally.
I can put your Instagram in the show notes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Because, bro, your story, there's someone out there that's going to hear this that walked your path or is in your path and is inspired.
Yeah.
And that's what's powerful about podcasting, you know? So yeah, you can swipe up, connect with Jereme that way. And other than that, thank you for coming out. Thank you for taking the time. And I think we could do a 5-hour episode.
Totally.
It's just fun to hang out, bro.
It's just awesome.
We vibe, you know?
I totally agree. Thanks, brother.
All right. Thank you, man.